Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am Ameera, in case you don't know, and this is the Lapeef Network. We need to talk about something really quickly, and I do not want to make much of a monologue this time because honestly, this topic that I have here is something that we need to talk about together. This is not something that I need to really have a monologue about. So, what I'm going to do today is give you guys the premise, give you guys what I'm thinking about, and then have you guys call in to speak to me. I'd rather us have a panel today because this topic can be controversial to some. So, let's begin. The topic today that I want to bring up to you is this. What is a woman's place when it comes to certain conversations? What are things that women should not be speaking about? If that makes any sense. I'll give you an example. Really lately, I've been seeing that a lot of women are speaking about certain subjects and sometimes talking over men regarding certain topics. Some things women do need to sit back and listen to rather than speak. And I know that in this current world, we are not to silence women. Women should not be silenced, and women should be able to speak as they wish. And women's spaces are very common. What about men's spaces? When do men have a chance to be men? As Kevin Samuels brought it up really quickly as well. He brought it up saying like men should have a space where they can belch and pass gas and scratch their nipples. God, I'm so vulgar. But scratch themselves and be relaxed because of course in front of women they don't feel comfortable enough to do so. So I looked up a few articles and I want to share these with you really quickly, and then I want us to open the phone lines. Anyone who wants to call in, please feel free. Also, if there is a lag in my video, I do apologize, guys. I am in the process of getting a good camera. Please bear with me for now. So our first article is this. I didn't see the newspaper who did this, but here's what it says. It says, I think we should shift some of the weight away from feminist groups and women's groups so that men bear some of the responsibility. It says, men need to have conversations about the ways men are harming people and what they can do to support women in our communities. So this is, again, women dictating what men should speak about in their spaces. It's almost as if women are the mothers and they're sitting the children down to have, a group activity, right? Here, men, I want you guys to sit in your spaces and talk about how you can be better. Talk about how you can be less toxic and less harmful to women. That's the topic that women are expecting men to speak about. It is not your place to tell the men what they need to speak about when they are alone in their spaces. But I could be wrong. That's why I want you guys to call in. Am I wrong? Let's see the next part. It says, if women are the only ones talking about solutions, that's only half the conversation. How are men holding each other accountable to a healthier idea of masculinity? You all know how conservative I am. You guys know how much that enrages me just to even say those words. I'll repeat them really quickly. How are men holding each other accountable for a healthier idea of masculinity? Right. Here's the next one. The next one I found is this. Now, this is just the title, mind you. The title goes as follows. It says, women don't have any problem with male-only spaces, as if men should give a care if we did. As long as they're not screwing us over, says the article. Women don't have any problem with male-only spaces as long as they are not screwing us over. So I think the premise here is if men have their own spaces, then that means they must be plotting to make women's life miserable, right? So that's what men do when they're alone, is they plot. They plot how they're going to make the women's lives miserable. And last but not least, now this one really dilled my pickle. Here we go. It says, Single-sex spaces have traditionally been preserved for women, both formally and informally, which is very much not true. This is the problem with a lot of women. They don't understand history. Male-only spaces has been a thing since the beginning of time. In fact, it was more common for male-only spaces than female spaces. I'll tell you why. Because before, men used to gather together, drink tea, smoke cigars, talk about business, politics, love, and anything that they wanted to talk about. They used to enjoy whiskey or brandy, and they had cigar rooms. Now, a cigar room was not made for a woman. You women, oh ye women, this is not all about you. I'll continue. It says, male-only spaces, such as clubs and professional networks, have usually focused around power and progression, whereas female spaces have been geared towards emotional support. Hence, while you'll never find me in a female space, I'm joking. But this is why I'm saying this is just it's almost like this condescending tone. It's this condescending tone of, men, your space is made for you to think about what we told you to think about. This is like a focus group. We have put you here to focus on what we want you to focus on. Female-only spaces are hugely important, but a lot more common. Women are traditionally more likely to meet up, spend time together, talk about their lives, and retain friendships throughout their lives. Basically, women carve out women-only spaces in their day-to-day lives. See, and this is why I say most women, especially today in the Western world, do not understand men. And I'm going to give you a quick example. I hope the link is in the chat because I want you guys to call in. I'm almost done what I need to say because this is what I want you all to respond to. In the Middle East, when you go to a Middle Eastern home, what's typical that you will find is bedrooms, a kitchen, possibly 2 kitchens, one in the garage and one in the actual house. You'll find a dining room and 2 living rooms. You want to know why there's 2 living rooms? Because there is a men's room and a women's room. These are not bathrooms. This is a men's room and a women's room. So in the men's room, it's exactly what it is. Exactly like I said, it is for the men to sit together. And typically there's usually not any chairs there. There's not anything. Men just relax. They have a bunch of pillows. They lay down and smoke hookah together and relax and play cards. That's what they do in the Middle East. And they drink tea. If a woman is there, it's only because she has come to serve tea. That she's not there to talk. She's not there to help them, whatever. She cannot be there. I don't see that in the Western world. And you know another thing about women's spaces and men's spaces? Here, let me address the super chat. Hi, Lou Casey. Lou Casley, she says, I love this topic. Unfortunately, women seem to think that their opinion is required in all men's spaces. And if they hear something that offends them, they raise hell wanting to change their behavior. It's almost like a mother complex that all of us women have over men, as if men need to adhere to our rules, what we tell them they need to do. If they have a male-only space, it's because we have deemed it so. That is not how it should work. And there are certain topics that I want you all to tell me. You tell me, what is a topic that women should butt out of? And what is something that you see happening today? Like women controlling certain things that they shouldn't be controlling. We brought this up very briefly on Thursday, but I didn't really want to get too far into it because I'm a little bit too controversial. I have a lot of opinions on this, guys, and I want to hear what you all have to say regarding this as well. This is why I want us to have a panel here tonight to talk this out. Let's sort it out because thank you, Lou Cassie. So the other thing that I wanted to say about men and women-only spaces is this. When we have spaces that are designated just for men and women, and spaces designated only for women, what I've noticed is that people feel less stressed. Does that make sense? So when the men have their time to be alone with the men, they come home easier, lighthearted. Men have a chance to absorb. I know this sounds bad. I know this sounds bad, but the same thing happens to women. We absorb each other's energy. Does that make sense? The energies. Replicant fish says that. But we take a moment to be in our femininity when we are around women, and men get to just enjoy themselves in their masculinity without having to pardon themselves for scratching themselves or feel embarrassed for belching or what have you. Does that make sense? Men, and this is why I want the men to call in and tell me as well, and to speak about it so that women can hear you loud and clear. Men don't need us women. They don't need us there in their time alone, and they don't need us to tell them what they need to be talking about. Just the fact that there's articles out there speaking about how we should give men a topic to talk about when they're alone and tell them how they should fix themselves, fix masculinity, fix yourselves. What's wrong with you men? No. This is not the way things should be. I think I'm done ranting, guys. I'm sorry. I had a pent up energy from Thursday night. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me read some comments. Let's see. Big Meat says, it doesn't sound bad at all. This is how I was raised, but I had both parents. That had both parents. Oh, I see. Let's see. Thank you, Searchy. I appreciate it. Yes, please, guys, feel free to call in, because I know, look, what I want right now from you guys, and I know this may be asking a bit much, but what I want from you guys is this. I want 2 women and 2 men to call in so we can have this discussion with a more balanced panel. I want us to be kind of balanced so we can get the woman's point of view of why they think that we're so controlling, because I do understand it's in our nature to be kind of motherly like that, but we have to figure out a way to calm that down, because what our society has done in the West is told us that this is okay and this is how it should be. We have to recognize that this isn't the way it should be. And men need their time. Men need spaces where they can just be. And you know what I've noticed in the West? Another thing I've noticed is that us women, everything that men make, we have to find our way into it somehow. Somehow we have to figure out a way to get inside of it, because if we aren't inside of it, we label them as toxic. Prime example, the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts, in the name, it says it's for boys, only boys. But last year, there was some kind of petition to make the Boy Scouts have girls in it as well. Because boys can't have a space without girls. You just can't. If you do, girls have to find their way in. And if you don't let them in, they throw a fit. Never, ever have I seen boys saying they want their way into Girl Scouts. I've never seen boys complain that they want to be in the Girl Scouts. So is it that, now women, don't hate me, is it that boys are so much cooler than us and so much more interesting than us and so much more tolerable than us that we would rather be in their circles than be in our own? Is it that we women recognize that we are not that great of company? Or maybe that we recognize that we are rather boring or what have you. So that's why we're always trying to get into the men's spaces. Because I don't see it happening the other way around. I don't see boys always trying to go to girl spaces and trying to be in the girl circles. I don't see it. I could be wrong. Call in. Am I wrong? Tell me where I'm wrong. I would love to hear it. Because I have eyes and I see too. I have a super chat, guys. Premium Petro says, thank you, Ameera. You continue to be a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much. Q from Lapeef gives me good vibes too. Q is awesome, and so is K, and so is Kayla. K number 2. Oh my God, she's gonna get mad if I said that. But I see it as K1 and K2. I'm sorry, guys. It's just It's just the way I see it. But yeah, everybody is really awesome. Q, I haven't really spoken to her that much, but she sounds like a really cool girl, and she seems really logical as well. Brittany says boys are cool. Honestly. Heidi says, yes, you'll hear some women say that they'd rather have boyfriends than girlfriends. And that's another thing too. Women who are constantly speaking about how cool they are and that they can never have girlfriends because girls are toxic, girls are gossipy, girls are pardon my French, bitchy. Girls are bitchy. All of these things. And you see that girls prefer to be with the boys. But you don't see it the other way around in the numbers that women are trying to be in men's spaces. We need to relax. We need to either get a hobby or make women's spaces better. If our spaces are so bad and they're so boring, then let's change. But trying to butt our ways into boy spaces all the time is not the way. It's just not the way. Oh my God. I know. Ameera being diplomatic. Very noble. Thank you guys. Alexandra is here. Hi, Alexandra. She says, feminine women are friendly. We need to surround ourselves with like-minded women. So in the Middle East, we have, like I said, we have women-only spaces and men-only spaces. And in the Middle East, one thing I've noticed is that the women-only spaces are not like in America, where women-only spaces in America are like crying fests. Like girls will start crying and speaking about how much victims they are. Or on the other hand, you'll have women speaking about all of their secrets and how they abuse men, take men for all they've got, and they'll start sharing their secrets in between themselves of like how they do it, what kind of clothes they wear, the way that they speak, what kind of like sneaky tactics that they use to abuse men or get over on men. Am I wrong, ladies? Ladies, this is a safe space. Tell the truth. Us in women's spaces, it's either one of two things. Either we're crying and talking about our victim status, or number two, we're talking about how we get over on men, supposedly. In their eyes, supposedly they're getting over men, which is pathetic. Pathetic. But in the Middle East, if you go to like women-only spaces there, the women are pleasant. They're all wearing long dresses. They're drinking tea, and they're talking about the kids. They're talking about school. They're talking about a new recipe that they learned on how to make something else, or they're saying, let's make something together, or let's go here, let's go there. It's calm conversation that brings you happiness. It's just not so toxic. And toxic femininity does exist. If toxic masculinity exists, then toxic femininity has to exist as well. I don't think that either one is real, but let's just say if this is true that toxic masculinity exists, then toxic femininity also has to exist. Because how can you tell me that only men can be toxic? There's only masculine traits that are toxic. There are so many feminine traits that are toxic that we can't even wrap our heads around. Matt, thank you, Matt. He says, just here showing heart, love, thank you. Your voice is so relaxing. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't know if my voice is relaxing right now. I'm a little bit like irritated. But here we are. All right. We have a woman and one more woman. Welcome, ladies. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome, Ms. Ty, and welcome, Just Kaya. What do you ladies think about what I'm saying? Am I wrong?
Well, first I wanted to, you were reading from an article, I believe, or those were your opinions?
No, these were 3 articles that I pulled up regarding space. And what I noticed was it was always women speaking about men's spaces. And that's what irritated me.
And then when you were sharing about women, you say the Western women being like bitchy and why are we in men's spaces? And is it because our spaces are not, fun enough or something? Was that your opinion or was that from the article?
That's a question that I'm giving to you That's my question to you. Are our spaces that boring that we have to force our way into men's spaces because we are just intolerable, insufferable? I can't go there.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of camped up, because I wanted to know what is your opinion. I didn't know if you were voicing your opinion or did you just want our opinion and not going to give yours.
I'm looking for answers. Please tell me.
Answers, but I don't know what you believe. So anyway, do you live here in USA or do you
Well,
live
you don't
somewhere
know.
else?
You don't have to know what I believe to give me an answer to what the question
No,
is. You don't have to
no,
know.
I know that, but I came up and this is the way I wanted to approach it. So you said this is a safe place. So, I'm coming to a safe place. And those were my questions, period. So if it's not a safe place.
Miss Ty, what do you think about it? I want to ask you the same question. Just before
Wow.
we go,
Okay.
just before. No,
Have
no,
a
no, no,
good
no. Don't go,
one.
don't go. I just want to see first. Oh, she got mad. I just want to ask first because I want to see your opinion first. Because before I give my side, I want to hear what you all have to say.
Okay.
Miss Ty,
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
So can you tell me the question one more time?
So the question is, why is it that we women have to force our way into men's spaces? Is it that we are so bored with our own spaces that we need to go there? Or what is it?
I think now with what we call the modern woman, um, it's not because their spaces are boring. I think now women are trying to be equal to men in every sense of the word. So when men are talking about what they want to talk about, now women wants to interject their opinions about what they want to talk about. And a lot of times I see women today, they want men to think and feel the way they do. But we are different. We don't think the way men think. We don't move where we shouldn't move the way men move. And so women try to interject themselves into business that doesn't belong, that they shouldn't even be in. And I see that as a problem with today's women. So I think that's part of the problem we're having between men and women today, especially in the new age woman, the modern woman, however you want to say it,
Yeah.
that nobody knows their place anymore. It's that whole feminist thing going, I'm just as important as you are. I can get into your space just like you can come into my space. But no, we are not the same. The men should have their own space to talk amongst themselves, and women should have theirs. And
Agreed.
only time women should be in a man's space is when you're invited into their space. I was taught by my mother and my father, if you're not invited to that conversation, you shouldn't even butt into that conversation. There's
I
no reason for you to be there, and there's no reason for you to even speak when you're not spoken to. If you're not talking to me, why am I in your conversation? So it has
true,
nothing to do about boredom.
true.
It's just
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So yeah, what I'm taking from what you're saying is that we pretty much want to make the men into us. That's why we're in their spaces because we want to kind of force ourselves onto them in a way like, how can I say? Oh, Kaya, please feel free. Oh, where is she? I'm sorry, I missed her thing. Kaya, please feel free to come back. I wasn't trying to get you to leave. I just wanted to get others' opinion first before I give my own because me as the host, I don't want to influence everyone's answers. So I didn't want you to get offended by that, but I understand. So Ms. Ty, I understand what you're saying. It's just I want us to. I just wish that we could stop being so controlling as women and
Yeah,
bring ourselves back to
I agree.
understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like now today's women, we women have to um, control everything. They have to have their hand in everything. But
Mm,
but that's not how we were supposed to be. And I understand a lot of people will say, oh, well, because the man is not doing this, the man is not doing that. That's why I am this way.
Oh,
But what
goodness.
happens to I don't know how everybody else reads, but my mom has always taught me to stay in my femininity and stay in my space,
Mm.
stay in my square, no matter what.
Can I ask you, Miss Ty, are you married by chance?
I am not married, not yet.
Okay. Okay. No, because the reason I was asking was because I just want to see how other women like treat with their husbands. Like, do they feel weird when the men have their own spaces? Because what I've noticed is that a lot of women, if a man says he's going to go off to his own space to be with his friends or even family sometimes, some women get irritated and they're like, oh, he needs to spend all his time with me. Why do you need space away from me? You should be happy with just me. And that's one of the things that really bothers me because I'm like,
that's a whole nother story. Well, with that, that's more or less, a trust issue maybe, and then maybe some insecurities within that relationship or marriage when it comes to something like that.
that has to do with
Yeah,
trust.
I have, several married friends, and one of them have that issue. She has to be like glued to the hip with her husband, and she gets mad when he goes out with his friends and things like that. And it all boils down to insecurities with her. Like, she's very, and sometimes women often thinks that, once you in a relationship or married, that, you have to be sewn at the hip. So wherever the man goes, you go. No, that's not how it goes. And
Yes.
that's like, no, wait a minute. You're supposed to have your own, just like you want your own girl time. That guy needs his man time too. Like,
I know.
give him some breathing room, please.
I know. And it looks like we got a man. We have a man in here to give a man's point of view. Hi, Marcus. Welcome in.
Hola, ¿cómo están? How are you guys?
Bien, gracias.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to the lovely conversation, and I understand where both sides of the spectrum is. Because I know that for women, they tend to tread softly and move lightly, carefully with certain groups of women when they're around them, because they don't want to try to, how do I say it, somehow bring up attention when it's not their intention to do it. Because some women tend to hold like a sort of what is the word?
Grudge?
Yeah, well, some of it is a grudge, obviously, or maybe at some point a trigger point, maybe like maybe the person that got triggered had an emotional past to a certain topic. So maybe when women try to be careful with their words, they want to move carefully. With us guys, we don't technically have that problem. There's a few men that I know that they will do that. But for the most part, majority of men that I've been around and other men have talked to me about, there's not that much of a main problem. But for some reason, I've had women who are acquaintances, social workers, students, like student groups, etc., military, where the women, they will have a problem and they'll hold it and they'll keep it bottled up. And then later they'll bring it up, throw in their face or talk behind their back. And I find that interesting because it's that like dynamic, that difference in men and women. And this is not to like shame or attack women at all. This is just to acknowledge the human behavior in both sexes. Right. And this social construct that we've had, this has been going around for decades. And it's just interesting how, just how the communication barrier is there. Because you can't be honest. Like a lot of people say, well, women say they want honesty, but a lot of times, if women can't even be honest with other women, how can men?
That's true.
Marcus, I know. 1 minute, Miss Ty. I want to hit the super chat really quickly. Top Gun has sent a super chat. Thank you, Top Gun. He says, to all of these women calling in and in the chat with this dark feminine energy. Oh, goodness. That sounds like a movie, yeah? A movie title, Dark Feminine Energy. What does your husband think about that? Uh-oh. I want to ask you guys something. I want to ask the pair of you something. When you all see this and you see how women are so involved in men's spaces, even uninvited, what is something that you all think that women have control over right now that they shouldn't, or things that women are butting into, but they are not being corrected? Does that make sense? Like there are things that are passing the line, but no one's correcting them. What do you think is one of those things that women are allowed to do right now that is crossing the line and they are not being corrected on?
I believe maybe the whole paternity fraud is one of them. Paternity fraud is something that where there's no punishment for women. And then also something that is very serious is when you false incriminate, false imprison, or falsely convict a man. So that's happened to me before. And I will say this before I go on with that. Just because it happened to me, that does not mean I hate women. I love women. My mother's a woman, I think. And my sister, I love my sisters. So that does not mean I hate women, but that's just to acknowledge, like, it happened to me. But even when a woman admits this, she still does not get punished really at all. The same with the man was punished falsely. And I have my experience in this because of what I did in the military, what I do now. I have an experience in certain courts of law. And I have a sort of not law enforcement completely, but somewhat in that realm. And some of the saddest things, there's a lot of good men. There's actually a lot more good men than there are asshole men. It's the truth. There is. That's my belief in it. It's just that for some reason it's this normalized incentive within the system, the court system, justice system, whatever you want to call it. They that's just the way that they make money. So why would they change something when they benefit so much from something? Especially that means there's a saying in the government says they'd rather keep an innocent man in prison than admit their fault and take the blame for themselves, because that'll be something that they have to pay the consequences for, because judges still have to answer to higher ups, and lawyers, prosecutors, district attorneys have to answer as well. So that's the huge issue that I have. And it's a very sad thing. And sometimes there's a reason why it's some of these crimes, some of these false accusations and convictions can get men killed, whether it's in public or behind bars.
I want to, Marcus, thank you so much. That is such your answer is very, is too truthful. Like when you said it, it kind of like sent chills, because it's like, those are some of the huge things that women, well, as women, we worry about for our sons, for our husbands, or those false accusations, and knowing that nothing happens to the other party is it's so disheartening. But just really quickly, before we continue, I want to say welcome, Chorus Bloom. And I also want to say, if we have some more people calling in, please try to be on camera, because when we have a screen full of black squares, it doesn't look good for the viewers, and people like to see your beautiful faces. We don't want to see a picture. We want to see your face. So please, guys, in the future, try to call in with your cameras on. Thank you. Please, Ms. Ty, feel free to answer the question.
Yes, Marcus. Oh my goodness, you were in my space when you were saying yours. So just to piggyback off of yours, one thing that I do, I kind of hate to see happens, and a lot of times when women are in men's spaces, they don't know how to talk in the presence of men. It's one of the things that's really like, the over talking, the yelling, the condescending comments, the snapping of the, I'm not on camera to see what I'm doing, but that snapping of the head and all that kind of stuff, like, they're not your girlfriends when you're talking to a man. And a lot of times I hear the argument like, well, he's not my husband or he's not my boyfriend, so I don't have to be in my feminine energy. I don't have to be respectful.
You must have been watching a show on a Thursday.
No, but not even that show, but I hear it all the time. And I see it all the time in the community. It's like, but you should always be in your feminine energy. It's not something that you're supposed to turn on and off like that. You're supposed to be respectful at all times. So it kind of confused me a lot of times when I hear that. And when I see women do that masculine thing or being argumentative or combative, and I say to them, do they go back and look at themselves? Because if you go back and look at yourselves, you may think you're a beautiful woman, but at that moment when you're doing that, you are ugly.
So many beautiful women get
Yes.
turned ugly through their
Yes,
actions.
exactly.
You
I will
know,
say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
go no, go ahead.
apologize.
Go ahead, Marcus.
I will say this because I've said this to many men. Men have to understand the prettier the woman, the more risk you actually take. And I'll say this because I've dabbled with women from Mexico, Colombia, and America, and my experience through some of these other countries. I've been to the Middle East as well when I was deployed, and the reason why I respect the way Middle East does it and Mexico does it, I'm opposed to America because the more of a respectful, conservative lifestyle, and they understand whether it's Muslim or Christianity, they have this strong viewpoint and respect for their culture and their religion. And in Mexico, it's a community thing. There's a saying of a famous fighter saying that when one of us goes to war, we all go to war together. And we have each other's backs. And especially in an economic society, when it's so oppressive and it's so injustice, like in Mexico and in the Middle East, what do they tend to do? Families or communities of friends stick together.
Yeah.
They stick
We're all we
together.
have.
That's
Exactly. All you have. So when the holidays hit up or when you're having a hard time paying a bill, everyone will get together and help you raise money to get together, or you guys hang out in cookouts, etc. That I don't mean that. Then remind me of this to anybody that's going to come at me. I'm not saying it doesn't happen in America. It usually happens with minority groups because out here in America, because I live in Southern California, but I commute to Mexico for the job that I have. But I noticed this in America, neighbors tend to stay inside. But in other countries, they tend to congregate and hang out together.
Yeah.
I noticed that big difference.
There's another thing about other countries. A lot of people have their doors open all day, windows open, doors open. I mean, just the doors open all day until the sun goes down and then they close their doors. But it's because there's a sense of community and you know that nothing's going to happen to you in your community because you know who's living next to you. When you always have your door closed, you don't know who lives next to you. Another thing that you brought up, Marcus, which is a really good point, is about communities that are in danger or communities that have a lot of struggle. These should be the main communities that are tight knit. These are the communities that, you know, they benefit most from being close together, from being tight and sticking together. So that's why I don't understand, especially with communities that are either minority communities in America or communities that are constantly being either bombed or in warfare, what have you. Those are the people who should be sticking together because you and your people, your tribe is all you have. That's all you have. And we should be able to stick together like that. Cora, please jump in on this. I haven't heard from you yet.
Yes, hi. I just want to say thank you for having me on and thank you, Lapeef, for hosting this. So there's two things that I want to say. I don't know if I would say they're more masculine traits, but two things that I've noticed from women that I wish that we as a whole would stay away from doing. One is being loud, just being loud and boisterous and over the top, like especially in public.
Yes.
And some women do that to like draw attention to themselves, but for the most part, they don't understand that that's the wrong type of attention. That's not the kind of attention you actually want. I tell my students all the time, or especially my female students, I tell them that that's not a good trait. And when I brought this up Friday in class, because it was like some girls in a hallway being loud, one girl in class said, well, I just hate when it's always a gender placed on stuff. Why does it have to be female versus male? You didn't say anything about the males, you know, and it's just the way some of the mindsets are, thinking that everything has to be just male and female. It's different. Definitely for females, we should not be loud and over the top. And then another thing is talking like sexually explicit in the open or even like around people. I think that's highly inappropriate. So I think we should stay away from doing that as well, and obviously not showing our bodies and stuff like that. But it's so common now that it's like being normalized, but ultimately that's not what men are attracted to for a long-term commitment.
oh my God, all three of you have brought up awesome points that these are just behaviors that, okay, okay, let's say this. Men have their own spaces. And like I said, in the Middle East, we have rooms in our houses that are designated for the men. We have a men's room in every house. So, with this in mind, we have this already built into our homes with the understanding that men need their time. And this is part of respecting the men, respecting our men enough to know that they don't need us next to them, either guiding them, telling them what to do, uh, putting ideas in their head. They don't need it 24/7. And if a man is trying to get away from you for a little bit, it doesn't mean he doesn't love you or like you. This is natural. And I don't understand why in this Western world it's so easy to say, oh yes, women need their space. Oh yes, girls' night. When is there a boys' night? When is there men's night? And where is it? Because from what I've seen, it's all about women, women, women. Women on girls' night. I don't go clubbing, but I've seen that they say the girls get in for free. There's drinks and all this and it's like, when is it the men's day to have that kind of treatment? They don't have that here. Am I wrong?
No. I will say this because I think when it comes to the nightlife industry, it's a business. So I can't get mad at the business for doing what it is to make the money. So for clubs, etc., bars, they know that if you bring the more women, regardless how pretty they are, as long as you have majority of women, majority of men are going to want to go to those clubs because they're going to want to spend out of their wallet, pay the drinks, pay those girls drinks, pay the entrance fee, etc. So like,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to see from go ahead.
Oh, right. No, I understand. It's just like the psychology of it, because there is a certain hidden psychology in that. And I think that, men are always going to have that libido with them to attract the woman. And I guess women are smart enough to understand the human female nature. They're smart enough to know that, hey, like, we know we got it. We know we can flaunt it. Ish, we'll tease you. And then depending on what we want to do, whether we want to play games, we want to lead you on or something, it's up to the woman. So when it comes to that, I don't really completely get mad at women. I don't fault women for that. I just gotta, like, I teach men too, and I help men too, because I've helped men get married, especially move to other countries out of America. And they have a lot of kids now. Some have multiple wives, etc. So my message is always, we work better together and we can build more together. We don't need to be apart. But here in America, they incentivize us to keep families apart, keep them separate, keep them at each other's necks. Whether it's political groups or religious groups, there's a reason why there's a saying that ideas can be peaceful, but history is violent. And history is violent because of mankind.
I understand, Marcus, but I want us to kind of stay on topic here. You're making completely valid points, of course, but I kind of want to stay on this topic just because I want us to speak about it and actually get some kind of breakthrough with this topic, because I want us to, I guess what I really want from all of you guys is the understanding between men and women. I want us to come to an agreement of why we're like this and how things can be better and what are the ways that we can control ourselves so that this shouldn't be a contentious subject. This shouldn't be something that people are making articles on. Did you guys hear the article?
Yes, I did. Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I didn't want to say this at first because I didn't want people to be like, oh, the victim Olympics. But you did say, like, can we talk about like why we are like this? Number one, I think it's from, well, I'm a Christian, so I think it's from the woman being deceived in the Garden of Eden. It goes all the way back to that. But now, as we are today, especially for the Black community, and I'm not trying to be like a victim or whatever, or trying to say we're victims, but I just want to have the conversation. And the reality is that a lot of young women grow up not even seeing or being around a man, growing up with a man. It's like, how do we know how men act, how to treat men, Where is the boundaries when it comes to men? And so even when I'm looking at my students, because I teach at a predominantly Black, well, now it's like half Black and half Hispanic, but they go from a home where it's a single mom for the most part. Then they go to school with me and other women teachers mostly. So where are they learning this at? They're not, or we're not being taught. So, it's like, how do we know? It's not just like something that switches on and off. I even had to be taught myself. So I think that's one of the reasons why women feel like they can just barge into men's spaces or try to work their way in. So
there's no limitation, and it's just like Ms. Ty mentioned earlier, it's this equality thing, and we always speak about it on the Lapeef Network. And just really quickly, Kaya, I don't understand why you're sending messages like this. You can feel free. Like I told you, I wanted you to call back. I never kicked you off the show. I told you I just needed to get others' opinions before I said my own. And that's exactly what the rest of the panel is doing, and there's no issues. So I'm not really sure why you're so upset, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know what to say to you. But anyway, okay. So yeah, it's just like Miss Ty had mentioned. She said like, it's about this equality thing, that when you grow up thinking that you're equal, you grow up thinking that there's no differences. And I am exactly on your level, if not above. You won't feel that barrier to just barge into another person's space. You won't feel weird doing it. My culture, we feel weird. When my husband has his friends over, or he's doing, or he wants, I feel so weird being around the men. I try to run away from them as soon as I can and go upstairs, because it just feels weird. When you grow up knowing that boundary, this kind of setting doesn't feel comfortable to you. So
yeah, and
that's what Ms.
even
Ty
like,
is saying.
Yeah. Can I, and you know what, and it boils down to respect as well. Nowadays, a lot of the women or young ladies are not being taught about just basic decency and respect. There's like no standards and discipline that these young girls and young women don't have today, and that contributes to this behavior. Because if you don't know the boundaries, or you don't have that discipline or standard, when you grow older, you're going to carry that same behavior into your adulthood.
See, and that's what I was saying. It's like that thing where you just grow up like that, you don't feel anything weird about it. And that's why we always talk about, we emphasize how we raise the children. We have to make that barrier clear to the girl children when they're young. Okay, your brother has his friends over. Let's say you have two kids, a boy and a girl. If the boy has his friends over and they're playing in his room, we have to make that barrier so that the girl knows, leave the boys alone. Make your own space, make your own time. Don't bother the boys. Because I've also seen families that when you have a boy child and a girl child, they will yell at the boy for not inviting the sister to play, or punish the boy for excluding the sister.
Exactly.
And it's like, where is it? Because things like that, they look so small when kids are small. It looks so trivial. Oh, that's nothing. You're just teaching them to share. No, there should be barriers set from young. So I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Ms. Ty and Marcus for joining us. I had to let two other people on. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I will say this just to finish up real quick before I go have dinner with my girl. But I do think that overall, these new generation of kids now have no respect for parents in general. So I think that's where it also stems from when it comes to arrogance and entitlement and ego and the dating. It'll eventually will evolutionize to the dating market and et cetera, and the standards. And I think that's very important to know that the father is the rock and the mother is like the pillow that you can, relax to if she's peaceful. So the man is the rock and the woman can be the soft flower, the pillow. And they both have their equal respect that she needs to be earned when it comes to the household. And obviously the king's throne and the queen's throne is obviously the mother and the father's. So I think that's very important. And obviously punishment and I believe in ass whooping. So it's very like ass whoop your son, ass whoop your daughter if they fall out of line, and they'll understand. Because if you want equality, That means equal punishment and equal ass whoopings both ways. And it's just my, if you want equality, you're going to be held to the same standard if that's what people want.
I'm with you, Marcus.
Thank you,
yes.
Marcus.
Take care, though.
Right.
You ladies have a good night, and God bless you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, we got to add on. And I see you, Japrice. Is that how you pronounce your name, Japrice?
Yes, that is.
Beautiful name. Welcome in, and welcome with the funk.
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you have anything on the topic? Did you hear everything?
I did. I've been listening since it started. Hi, what the funk? How are you? And how's everyone else on the panel?
Good, thank you.
So,
well, really quickly before you begin, Miss Ty, I want to get some more people on that have the cameras on. Do you mind?
Sure. I thank you for having me on, and I promise I will cam up the next time. I got caught with rollers in my hair. I was getting ready for work tomorrow, so
I know it's late.
I'll be on camera next time.
Come on, we can see the rollers.
You're not gonna see me on here with no bonnet on my head now, you know.
Kevin Samuels might come and do that.
We understand the rollers.
All right, guys.
Thank you. Bye, Miss Ty. You know, if she did that, Kevin Samuels might call in. Like, is there a bonnet? What? Okay, here we go. Hi, Jay. Welcome in.
How you doing?
Okay,
Konnichiwa, minasan.
Konnichiwa. Hi, Japrice. So what do you have on the topic? I'm sorry to cut you off. I just had to rearrange.
No, it's totally fine. So basically, I just wanted to say that I totally agree with you on like the first part, like your like kind of monologue. However, let me not say that 'cause I don't have like a rebuttal or anything. I just wanted to maybe take a second to maybe guess from like what I see is that like the lack of father. So like that respect factor for men is not there. So when there's no like father in the home, they don't know what the respect is. I've had my father growing up, so I've learned like the three level of respect. I'm also from a different culture, so
what's your cultural background?
Oh, I'm Ghanaian.
Ghanaian.
So it's a little bit different than
Wow.
I was born here though. So but my parents are Ghanaian. So I consider myself American. But I did grow up in that culture household. When like just a little small example, like when my father comes and visit my household, my husband and I and our son, even when my father comes, I serve them or ask if they want anything, and I just slide my way back into our room or just slide my way out of there.
Disappear into the darkness. Yeah. That's what I do. I disappear into the darkness. I don't want to hear
what they're saying, or I don't want them to feel like maybe they can't say anything, and I'm not interested in what they want to watch or what they want to talk about, and I'm quite sure they're not interested in what I talk about. So I just slide my way and just go as if they need me or if I'm called. So, but yeah, so I believe it's maybe a father figure, like that lack of respect, and the I don't know how to say it, but like they haven't seen like male figures in like such high roles, like teachers or stuff like that. So like that lack of respect is not there. And most Black American women, I consider myself Black American, so I don't want to offend anybody.
Rila.
So dang, I lost my thread.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't like offending people. I don't like.
What'd you say?
I said you go ahead and invest in the soundboard. You can't just be adding sound effects to your mouth like that. You go ahead.
Oh my God, I didn't know what to do. I just saw him every time I see his name.
Soundboard
it just happens. No, it just happens. What do you have on the topic?
Oh, no, let me let Japrice finish first.
Oh, thank you. So I just have like one little comment. I think every time I'm gonna say it, I just totally forget. Maybe because I'm so nervous. But basically that there's no like control at the mouth, like most women have, like most modern women, westernized women have like word, like mouth diarrhea, just like there's no control, there's no
Ooh.
self-control, and the need to say something is always at the tip of their tongues, or like, they need to be heard, they feel like they haven't been heard. So it just stems back from the family, like from the household. So
Can I ask you really quickly, in Ghanaian culture, do you have this separation? I mean, you just said that you disappear into darkness just like I do when the men are having their time. But okay, because you were speaking about speaking off and speaking out of place and out of turn. Oh God, this question might be a little bit. I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't care. Are there any punishments for women speaking off? Speaking out of turn like that?
As far as physical, I don't know, no, but I haven't really seen it, so I wouldn't know. But it's just automatic that maybe they're women. Maybe if there's not a separate room, the women are just like in the kitchen, or like they're hanging. There's usually a chair. There's usually a couple of chairs or two, because most of us sit while we cook, because we don't like to work harder. We like to work smarter. So there's usually a couple chairs in there. So, and it's like pretty. It's not like how houses out here, like it's so close together. Usually the kitchen is like maybe outside, and yeah.
That is, see, we have so many similarities. So many similarities. Typically, we have Middle Eastern houses. We have a kitchen inside the house and one outside, whether it be in the garage or the backyard, or we have like a hole in the ground.
But it doesn't have the main stove, or like the big stove and stuff like that. So all the like big cooking is usually like outside. So, and usually we're busy doing house stuff, so we don't have time to be in there while the men are having their time. So,
do you have a hole in the ground too? Because we have holes in the ground. I know this sounds so weird, but okay. I don't know if that's weird to you. Is it weird?
No.
Okay.
Oh, to put them in if they talk out of turn.
Look how serious.
Like 300. There's a big pit, and if the lady's talking out of turn, it's like this is Sparta, and you just kick her down.
Oh my God. This conversation is evolving. Guys, please. No, the hole in the ground is, we put a hole in the ground and we put rocks at the bottom, and we put like a wood, and then we make a fire, and this is where we roast our food. We can make rice or roasted whatever. Come on, what? This is serious. This is desert cooking, okay?
Anyway. It's like for pigs, big goats.
Yeah, goats, exactly.
But just goats, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what the funk? What do you have on the topic? What do you think about women, and what do you think are areas where women should not be allowed to speak, or that women are over speaking out of turn in these areas?
I'm happy to go, but we're definitely going to have to go back to this hole in the ground eventually, because I mean, there was so much flack just for the whole banana split thing, where it was a written agreement for the internet. If oh my God, if this was a proposal from, you get canceled right away.
No. Okay, so what do you have on it?
Absolutely, men need those spaces. I think Kevin Samuels brings up sign language. Shame, insult, guilt need to be right, and maybe there's also the need to be nosy. Could also be the end for the end. Because in our culture, it is, and it's not just our culture anymore. It's a modern woman thing now, where they are always involved in every single thing that a man is doing, wants to know every single thing that a man is talking about. And I think men generally, we know, especially those who grow up in an urban environment, and we don't talk about this at all, that so much death and chaos and jail and so many bad things happen due to loose lips, and things that come from women. Women have set up men for many situations. Many women have used their tongues to create nothing but chaos, and women are supposed to be our peace. And we can't truly come and tell you all the secrets of our lives, because a lot of times it comes back and backfires, whether it's just women just running their mouths and wanting to be involved in every single thing. You don't have men in the houses. So there's been many times where I've seen where men try to have a space to kind of just get it out, because we don't have therapy. We can speak to other men, and women will come in and then try to tell us how we feel. There was a funny incident that happened on this network earlier when we were having the sports show, and it was like the men talking about Sierra, and Kay came up, and she was kind of like, I can't believe we're listening to all these men talk about, Sierra, you all aren't doing anything. And it was like, we're legitimately just trying to talk kind of in a fun way about the Sierra thing. And Kay and another gentleman completely derailed it, because it's also a lot of effeminate men who are just ruining men's spaces. When men want to just talk like men and kind of get away from, this whole thing that we're working through, and we talk how we talk, and we'll get chastised from these spaces, and women want to come in, and it's the modern woman truly does not want to have a place where men are exchanging ideas and possibly going against the code that they are already wanting to have happen. They control our culture, and especially in America, women have been in charge of this narrative, and men have not been in the houses. So I'll wrap this up and say it real quick. A lot of relationships really kind of come down to falling apart because a lot of women don't understand that you don't have to say everything. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to tell a man how to be. And we have this thing where it's like women will be super, super, super bratty. And that's they learn it at an early age. And as men, when they get older, they think that we're supposed to turn that bratty behavior into passion. Women can be all, and then it's like, what was that movie? Baby Boy, like, shut up and make me some tacos. Like, that's beyond toxic, the way that we try to have our love languages. And when women try to do that with me, I'm just like, hey, no, I'm not going to no, I'm good on all that. But in our culture, normally, the woman's supposed to be very, very bratty. And because she didn't have a father in her life to kind of teach her, that's a bad move. I'm expected to turn that bratty behavior and turn it into passion. And that's beyond idiotic. The father's supposed to be in the house to a woman that bratty behavior does not get rewarded. A father's supposed to be in the house and show that woman that this kind of behavior men don't want to have. But I think a lot of times women expect us to kind of fulfill that father role because they didn't have a father in their lives. So we have to deal with that bratty behavior. That's not my role as your husband. That's not my role as your boyfriend. I'm not supposed to deal with you like that. Your father is supposed to be the one that bratty behavior should not be tolerated by. But we have had about 5 or 6 generations of men not being in the house and having that role in America. And that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, and Jay, I want to get to you as well. But before we continue, I want to say it's either we have the bratty woman, as you said, the one that's just and thinks that it's cute, and it's, everyone is like, ha ha ha, because if you notice, like, a lot of women, when you're younger, they don't check it when you're younger. So when you're younger, it used to be the child that was always asking for attention and doing crazy things or stupid things to get the attention. And adults, instead of correcting that behavior, they laughed and said, oh, how cute. And then the child grew up thinking that this is a way I can get attention, and people will think that it's cute, and this is how I can make myself not feel awkward. But it turns into annoyance. Well, because when it's a woman, a grown woman, behaving this way, it is a turnoff, a huge turnoff. Welcome, Mr. Takeshi.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Yokoso. Yokoso.
To raise a princess, when she grows up, is going to be a diva bitch. A princess child is a diva bitch. So don't raise your daughters to be princesses. A princess does absolutely nothing, but it gets sold off by her for more clout. If a princess is not a great to have these women aspiring to be, it's not a great thing to put into your children's. I tell my daughter, like, you're not a princess at all. You robbed the princess. Princesses do absolutely nothing, but they're property. You are better than that. So don't even, when your other girlfriend, you're not a princess, you're better than that. And I think we have to put in our culture and kind of start showing that this princess mentality turns to bitch mentality later as I get older. And that's it.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, exactly.
More like child syndrome. Actually, hold on. Before I answer your question, Mira, I'll touch up quickly on what he just said, like, just to follow it up. Listen, Kay said it best, and I noticed this when I grew up. A lot of whatever. It just got to be said. I don't care. A lot of our people, our community, of our ladies act like freaking children. They're like, and this is what I said. They have the childlike mentality in a grown woman's body, and I do not like that whatsoever. If I went to any of my aunts right now, they would backhand these ladies acting the way they do because none of them acted like that at all because they got disciplined. Because if they ran their mouth, they knew they would get slapped and beat up for that by their moms, as they should. And that's what's more needed. Yeah, I won't put hands on my baby girl, but my wife gonna take care of that. And I'm gonna sit her down and I'm gonna give her that look, like a not just I'm disappointed, but I'm gonna tell her right now, you don't ever act like that whatsoever. And I will say this, just to finish up what he was saying, and then I'll get to your question, Ameera. It's not a man's job, a man who's healthy, who's worked hard, to clean up your mess. Don't thank him. Clean up your mess. He's not there to clean it up. He's there to clean his own mess. You're there to clean up yours. Especially if you want to go by equality now, you clean up your own mess. I'm not here to fix you. That's the therapist's job, and your job to go seek help. Enough said. But Ameera, so for what you've asked, I think the biggest disconnect is trying to be nosy in one's argument. I've had 2 girlfriends that tried to get into my business with me and my guys. And I had to shut that down right then and there. She wasn't bratty with it, but she pouted like a child. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know why you're doing that. And okay, so technically this is like fresh out of high school going into college. And my girl I was in my last year, she was in her first year of college. And and you know what it was? She still had that fresh high school mentality. Not enough there to bask into the knowledge of going into adulthood, but also not enough to understand how things work. Because when I had a conversation with her father, she wanted to know, well, what do you say about my dad? What'd you talk to my dad about? It wasn't about you. It was something else. Your father's a deacon.
Goodness.
Yeah, and he's a deacon, and I'm talking to him about about my experiences with spirituality and God and stuff like this time, because I was questioning whether I believed in that. And this is something personal because he could actually answer this for me. And then she jumps in and like, what'd you say?
But she had to know everything that you said. And that's another thing that people ask me too, when I tell them that my husband spoke to my father and I don't know what those men spoke about before I married. So many people email me later like, how can you not know what they're talking about? What are you, sold like cattle? And I'm like, that's something that you don't understand. This is men talk. I call it men talk. Men don't understand. If let's say me and Cora, we actually know each other pretty good already. But me and Cora, let's say we knew each other better than we know each other. We talking, we having a conversation, we having a grand old time. A man might walk in the room and have no absolute idea what we're speaking, even though we're speaking English, because women, we communicate more through like very subtle facial expressions, subtle eye twitches, stuff like that we do to each other, and we understand between ourselves what we're talking about. A man might not pick up on those things because men they're not raised. They're not meant to pick up on those subtle communication signals. So I completely agree. Like, why do I need to know everything that this man is talking about? And I don't know. Did you finish your point?
Yeah.
Would a man be abusive kind of in your eyes, or that man would be controlling? If that man kind of walked in the room when you and her were talking, it was like, hey, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Like that would be a controlling man more in your eyes, correct?
We're not really controlling, but it's like most men don't do that because men don't tend to, you know what I mean? It's mostly women that tend to do that. And this is the point that I'm trying to get at. This is why I'm saying women tend to do this more than men. Women tend to want to know what men are doing and be in their spaces more than men try to be in our spaces. Because I've noticed that when women say, I'm going to spend girl time, I don't see men saying like, well, what are you guys talking about? What are you guys doing? Are you talking about me? Unless he's a very feminine man. But for the majority of men, they don't really care. They say, enjoy your time. But women, we tend to be controlling everything. Cora, I want to get your opinion on this.
Yes, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And now that my wheels were turning in my head when you were talking. Earlier in the conversation, a lot of people in the chat were saying, some women in the chat were saying, oh, I only have male friends because I get along more with male friends. And so I started thinking, because when I was younger, I had this mentality too. Although I did have friends that
Cora, really quickly, you have some background noise going on. Are you scratching the mic or something? Are you moving
Oh,
around?
yeah, my finger was over the mic. I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
So what I've noticed is that when men do come into women's spaces and like have a bunch of women friends, those men are typically feminine men or gay men that are always around a lot of females. So I'm putting it into the perspective as for the women who say that they only have male friends, what does that make you? You're more masculine when you're constantly around males or you have male friends and that's who you talk to and communicate with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Very much true. And see, that's why we say that we shouldn't be mixing so much. Can I say something to you all really quickly? I want to say something to the panel because look, this is such a mind how can I say it? I want to use the F word, but I don't want to say it. So it's a mind F. You guys know where I'm getting. When you're coming from the Middle East and you come to the Western world and you see how mixed we are here in the West. You guys know what I'm talking about? We're so mixed to the point where gender doesn't even exist anymore. America wants to make it seem like gender is a social construct. It's something that doesn't really exist. It's something that we've made as a society. What is going on?
Honestly, Ameera,
is that rhetorical or you want me to answer? I want us to answer.
No,
that
I
because,
wanted him to answer, but Takeshi looked like he was going to answer first. I don't know.
Let me just say this right now. You know what this is? We live in a feels before reals world, and I can't stand it for the life of me. And I think what the reason is, listen, there's no end in sight because they're just trying to. It's like you're trying to appease to everybody, at least to the less fortunate, which you're not really being to less fortunate. The ones who haven't had a voice for a long time, you're just propping them up, and then you're trying to go even further, the extra mile to say, this is a social construct. Men are the cause for all our pain. And I'm just like, or people, if you don't agree with this, you don't agree with that, therefore you're an enemy. So therefore we have to divide and group, my bad, ununified people. And it's like it's incentive to keep us ununified. That's what it is. They're just trying to appease the masses and to make it, and here's what it is. It sounds good on paper. It just sounds good. But when but you'll never translate that into the real world. It's a false construct. Is what they're trying to do. Because when you say they're trying to appease the people, it's just all talk. There's nothing they can really do to do it. And the way that it's going to keep going, Ameera, to be honest, I'm going to be real. A lot of men and women will die alone. Not simply women. A lot of men will die alone too with this.
But men are okay. Men are kind of built to do that. Women aren't. That's something that we always bring up.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm talking about in the sense of like companionship. Yeah, but at the same time, yes, we can keep doing it for a long while. Like even now, like I have a very like stoic mindset, but like just being able to get things done, keep getting things done, it's not gonna hinder me. But you're gonna realize when you get older, at least for some dudes, if you do want the companionship or you do not. But I mean, ladies kind of realize it much around like sooner than later sometimes. But I think men, we kind of do get it. It's just that, like I said, it's incentivized to keep us apart, and it's like I said, it's leading to a road of destruction, as far as I'm concerned, to where all humans are extinct. I'm going to take it to that degree. I see that too. I don't mean to be dark with it. I'm just going to be truthful. That's literally what I see, and nothing could ever change that until I see change.
Right.
So,
well, what the funk? Were you going to say something?
Yeah. Or did someone else want to jump in? I didn't want to like over talk.
No, we're waiting for you.
Okay. The gentleman, you're absolutely correct. And again, I'm not trying to get dark on this, but I'm not trying to get anyone canceled either. So let me make sure I say this right. But Neely Fuller Jr. speaks about sexual confusion. And it really is the goal of the powers that be, the elite, to have this, all have sexual confusion. On paper, it seems like it's a good thing because it's inclusion. It's everyone's equal and everyone gets rights. And yes, that's okay. And I speak to many people who are in that community. I've been a restaurant person my entire life. Like, they're the lifeline of restaurants. I'm gonna keep it 100. They're the lifelines of fashion. They're the lifelines of everything. So anyone who's in that field, they're beyond important, that community. But the people who I know in that community truly do not even care about half the things that the organizations are trying to do and push. And the organizations are pushing complete confusion, which is try to think what's happening 20 years from now. Like, the world is moving towards metaverse, towards online community, towards virtual reality. And so they're kind of gearing the young kids to understand that fluidity, you can go back and forth. You can go do this in this world, and on this world, do this, on this world, you can also still be like, it's going completely against what our simple base selves are. If you look at Native American culture, other cultures where it's just man is man and woman is woman. Man is sun, woman is moon. Children are the planet. You're supposed to work together to feed the planet. Woman is tiger, and she's, man is dragon, because man sees the bigger picture. All these ancient philosophies that actually are beyond logical are being lost in time. And we're now 20 years from now getting closer and closer to governmental and the elites writing the codes of what the world will be. And with everything happening the last few years with the
coof, just say the coof.
The coof and the patch.
Yeah.
2 years from now, we are getting more desensitized, and it's all part of the plan. The elites are playing 5D chess, and most of us are playing Connect 4. We all need to start trying to really see big picture what they are trying to build, and do something now to kind of be counterproductive against that.
I speak about this a lot with the funk. You know that you have joined me a few times on my Saturday meetings. But yeah, I talk a lot about this. But this goes a lot deeper, and it's mostly more of a political conversation. I understand. I really want to go there so bad. You have no idea how badly I want to go there, but I'm trying to keep it. I know, I just can't. JR, he starts pulling his beard, and then I got to hear about it later. Okay, Cedric sent in a super chat. He says, I didn't give up on her. I'm still at the table. Whether I'm by myself or not, I'm still here. Black woman, I love you, but this has got to stop. The future depends on it. Oh, that's sweet. And James Turner sent a super chat. He says, hi, Ameera. Salute to the panel for having the conversation. Thank you, guys. And I appreciate you guys for just having the conversation, not getting triggered, not leaving in a pile of dust. Don't do that. Like, just relax and enjoy the conversation. Thank you, guys. And again, thank you again to Security Boss. I wanna say thank you so much. And if you could join, that would be amazing. If you have time, but I know you're busy. We also have someone else knocking on the door. We have Ego Sam. Welcome, Ego.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. What do you have on the topic?
It was just interesting, like what you were speaking on. Like, I see it a lot too. And I think it's really a war tactic more than anything. I know a lot of people ain't gonna like that, but I really think it's a war tactic, because they tell you, like, right before any country has ever been invaded, it's always gender fluidity that goes first. But nobody want to say that, like you say, you don't want to be canceled. You don't want to say all that. I think people are really too uptight and worried about, like you say, facts over feelings. And it's like, you can't be worried about somebody's feelings when you're talking about genocide, really. It's really a setup for it. A lot of people don't want to admit that or don't want to say that out loud, but I think it is. I don't come from like no just like perfect scenario type, but I really think a lot of people should really put that in perspective, especially when you're talking about mental disorders and all that. They telling you to love everybody, but you're not telling them, like, hey man, most of these people need therapy. And on top of therapy, like, they need to really be telling other people, like man, this person really got a mental disorder, man. Like, they don't want to talk about gender dysphoria as a mental disorder. They don't want to say that, but everybody's supposed to love each other. 50 years ago, no, I'm sitting in the truck. I'm sitting there fishing.
Okay. No, it's just because your Wi-Fi went out a little bit, but it's back now. Everything is okay. We heard everything you said. I think we did. But no, I want to say, Ego, you were completely right about that. Have you noticed that when things go down the drain, let's say we end up in World War III tomorrow, God forbid, but let's say we do. The first things that are going to go out of the door are this whole gender conversation and all of this, because it's nonsense. This nonsense is only here because we're in a comfortable world right now. We're comfortable. These are problems of the comfortable and problemless. This is what it is. This is when life is too comfortable and soft, this is what we get.
Yep. And I totally agree. Like I seen something the other day. It said that weak men create hard times, and hard times create strong men, and strong men create good times, and the cycle start over.
And the good times create, right, weak men. Yep,
You
it's
know?
true. Japrice or Cora, do you have anything to say on it? You guys have been quiet lately. Japrice, Cora?
Yes, I'm here. I just waiting. I believe like in the Western world, like USA, there's no consequences for anything. Like there's no consequences for nothing, for no bad behavior, for just even like those bad apples on the tree. Like there's no real consequences. But I'm just listening to you guys, and I totally agree. I do agree with what you said. I don't know. It's ego, some ego? Sorry if I'm not saying it right, but I totally agree with you, and everyone has really good points. So.
Isn't it great when you have men speaking? I know, Cora, I'm going to let you in right now, but isn't it great when you have men speaking and you notice the difference in approach that men have between us women? I know men act like you guys aren't here. Between us women, isn't it nice to see the different approach that they have? Because a lot of men approach things more from an analytical way, a more analyzing way, a little more logical, a little bit more, they bring out the political side of things, the mathematical side of things. And a lot of us women, we don't see things that way.
No.
Go ahead, Cora. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really appreciate the men here. It's more of a nonsensical, is that the word? Like no nonsense type of approach to it. I don't want to get too deep into it either, but it also has with this gender confusion, it also has a lot to do with our food, all of the stuff that's in our food and sprayed on our food, and the GMO and the birth control pills, and
oh goodness,
oh my goodness, I could go on and on, but I did want to say something that that Jay said earlier. I wanted to say it, but he was like still talking when he was saying like his aunts and the mom should rebuke the daughter or the niece. And I think that's where accountability goes out the window when that doesn't happen for young women when they're coming up, and then when they go into the real world, they're still not they're not able to hold themselves accountable because they weren't ever held accountable growing up. So yeah, I wanted to make that point as well. I know that was going back a little bit, but yeah, well, yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, Cora. Like getting checked by your own tribe, like the women in your tribe, us being women and getting checked by other women is very, very much efficient. Like he says, it's very efficient. I want to call out the super chats from our former president, Mr. Donald Trump says, while America debates the gender issues, Genghis Khan is sharpening his sword. And then we have Antonio Espinosa says, modern women want the authority of a man, the privilege of a woman, the accountability of a child. Quote, creator unknown. I don't know how to say that. Okay, so I want to add, let me see. Can I do that? I guess I can do it. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go. I want to add Wes into the stream as well. Hey, Wesley.
Good evening. Thanks
Welcome,
for bringing me on.
What do you have on the topic, Wes?
Seems like we have a lot going on here. So, as Mr. Ego 121 stated, I want to be completely accurate there. Society happens in waves. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this, historically speaking. That fall of Rome wasn't terribly different, and from the political standpoint, the Bolshevik revolution wasn't terribly different. So these things have happened before. The important thing is to understand how people got through it. And you stated very correctly, like if something bad were to happen, all this nonsense goes out the window. It's kind of like when a hurricane hit Puerto Rico, or hurricane hits an area and everybody has to go get food, the thing that nobody touches is the vegan food. Nobody touches it. Everything else is cleared out. People will eat baking soda before they eat that vegan food. All the useless stuff goes out the window.
Oh my God, Wesley.
But you see, that's what men bring to the table. We think very analytically. We make good comparisons there.
Wesley, I love you and hate you at the same time. I'm sorry. I love you and hate you at the same time.
It sounds like most women in my life.
I'm sorry, Wesley. Oh my God. Oh my God. We have Jedi Mike here too. Let's bring him in as well. Hi, Jedi Mike.
Hey, how you doing? How you guys doing?
Good. Welcome in. Welcome in. What do you have on the topic?
So I just want to make sure I'm answering your question pertaining to the topic. It says like women stop forcing your ways in men's spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So this is kind of going back to the point how, and when it comes to spaces where men have to have a positive, I say, male like circle, inner circle. This is why I said that this in terms is important because what I was going back in terms of how we can be vulnerable to men and how we can having a sustainable group of men actually maintain our terms of masculinity in a healthy sense, so a way that we can also protect and cover you in terms of as being leaders. Because this is what I was talking about, how in spaces where we have the barbershops and the golf courses, where I think that it's very important to have those spaces, not in a sense of no girls allowed when they think of a very elementary school perspective, but actually thinking in a way of like this is not only for our safety but for yours too, because especially when we invite women to the spaces and then we have certain conversations, and not only the fact that there's certain things they might not understand, but and in this in the age of what 2021, almost 2022, is like we can be me too in just 2 seconds. Like especially if a conversation or way we might have have dialogue exchange with each other, it can get misconstrued just like that, and her word against mine. That's just how it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just in terms of we have to redefine in terms of having edifying spaces as men, not just saying having any space, because there can be spaces where as us as men that we can have people are not for us and lead us to basically our demise. And that's why I said the increasing discernment in terms of who you hang around with, especially as men, because they're just influence in terms of you. So I think on that question is just that women need to understand that they have to allow for not only for their safety but also for their children, saying, listen, if I want to have a leader to be in the best space, emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever, the whole nine, I have to make sure to give him the opportunity for him to be in the best healthy spaces possible, but also have enough resources for him to be the best version of himself. And unfortunately today, those resources are being taken, and hence we're getting the type of soft men we're getting today because they're not having enough resources for them to actually be forged as for boys to be forged as men, because men is forged through process, real men, right? So I think that when you take that process away in American modern society, and then basically this is what you have the modern man today, where they they want to redefine what Boy Scouts is. When the time I came in, they want it was no ifs and buts about it. They want to take away stuff about boot camp or other stuff that's toughing up boys, but not only in the sense of, oh, that's just hard for them. It's about survival. And back in the day, it's always been about survival. As a people, you want to talk about in our community. But since we try to bring, emotions into it, that hensely, even the Bible talks about your heart can deceive you. We want to get so emotional to a point that it's going to lead to our demise. So I just kind of encourage, for people that our emotions can also lie to us. This is for both men and women. So I just think on that. So I just think on that end, that's what I just want to add to that conversation. But yeah.
That has been a great addition, Jedi Mike. Thank you so much. And just before I miss it, I must say shout out to Jonathan Barronville. Thank you so much. This is probably the biggest super chat I've received on my channel so far. It is a shout out to the Great White Hope for pulling up to our chat. Let's go, Brandon Trump 2024. Thank you, Jonathan Barronville. I always say your name wrong, the last name wrong, but thank you, JB. I appreciate that so much. Okay, Jedi Mike, you bring up a great point. And also, did you hear about what I said earlier about women dictating what the men are going to speak about? They are afraid that the men are plotting against them. They said, We're okay with men having their own space as long as they're not going to screw us over, as long as they're not screwing us over. So the idea is if men get together and have their own spaces, what they're going to do is plot against us women. This is the mentality of a lot of modern women because this is an article written by, I believe, white and Asian women saying that they're scared of men plotting against them. What do you all think about that, panel?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut off anybody.
No, go ahead, Jedi.
Well, on that point, it's because I said modern society, they basically just want to turn us to villainize a man every chance we can get, not knowing that because it's very funny how you want to dictate the policy for someone to run, but yet you're not the one executing that policy. I feel like it basically like you want to create a football player creating the plan, but yeah, he's not the coach. He's saying, okay, now you execute it. I'm like, if I'm the coach, why are you not letting me and trusting me with this process to lead you? So I think in that instance, it's both a symbiotic relationship where both people, same thing goes to trust. What Rebecca was talking about when it comes to like submission to leadership of authority is that if your first thought is in worst case scenario, then first of all, your question is not why you're in a relationship in the first place, but more importantly, why are you walking a fear-based mindset in terms of your life as a woman? Whether that might be doing with your own personal experience in the past. Not saying that anybody has not gone through negative experiences, but as people, men and women, that you have to forge yourself whole before you become one with another individual.
But Jedi, really quickly, I want to say this to you. This happened, and okay, this was part of the conversation on Thursday. I don't know if you all were there on Thursday. I don't know if you all joined. Okay, Jay was there. Guys, on Thursday, there was an argument saying that if the woman is too feminine around other men, that she is more likely to get assaulted. Yeah. And if you can't be feminine with every man. And the other thing is, if you're living in this fear-based mentality, where did this fear come from? Because clearly it didn't come from real life. Because in this world, what she argued was this. She said, well, women get attacked all the time, and no matter if that one claim that she was trying to bring up, and I told her that was fake, it was already proven to be fake. She said it doesn't matter if it was fake. The point is that women get attacked all the time, every day. Never ever wondering about the amount of men that get attacked every day too. In fact, it's more likely for a man to get attacked in the streets than a woman. But nobody wants to bring that up because women live in fear of men, supposedly. I want to get to the super chat just really quickly before we continue. Our former president says that child sniffing. I have to screen these before I read them. Biden is dragging us to the pit of hell. Okay, guys. Yeah. So anyway, you guys heard about that on Thursday. That was pathetic. It was one of the worst claims that I ever heard spoken. It's one of the worst things that I've heard a woman say in an argument is to say that the more feminine you are, the more likely you are to get attacked. And, all the women that get attacked every day, disregarding the amount of men that get attacked every day. It's just, what do you all have to say about it?
Well, I would like Jedi to say something, but hold on. Let me answer that real quick. First of all, there's particularly a song called Fear, and I love it because the lyrics in it speak very well of this. And it says, if we give ourselves to fear, we come to realize that we're less than what we are. And so what you're doing is literally placing everybody in a freaking basket and say, listen, this is men can attack you any day of the week, and they will always attack you. So you're telling me the man that owns the Baker Street on the corner is going to attack you, who's trying to just make money for his family? You're saying he's a threat without even going into a store? You know how silly and stupid and ridiculous that sounds? You sound to me you would want more of a KK member if you talk like that, because that's just stupid. And fear makes you do okay. So giving into that fear makes you do very stupid, reckless things. It gives you a perception about people who you've never talked to and never met. And it's very ignorant and very self-centered, and just you lack self-awareness if you're thinking like that. You're probably a person that shouldn't be around people if you think that too. But my little counter for that is, well, guess what? If you're so afraid, then why don't you just stay in a box the rest of your life? That's what I say. You shouldn't be around people. You shouldn't be around other folks. You shouldn't even be walking. I'll be honest. You shouldn't even leave your house if you have this mindset.
Well, we all know that's impossible to do. So we have
I
to
know it's
speak
impossible, but
we have to speak in reality, honestly. And this is what we're living with. We're living with women that are promoting this and saying this to younger women, which is causing this cycle of women feeling victimized for nothing, feeling victimized for a thing. It's like a false boogeyman. A false boogeyman. Boogeyman doesn't exist, does he? Okay.
no.
It's like a boogeyman effect, right? Like, I'm scared of the men, but when you see the actual numbers of what's really happening, it's not true. The majority of these assaults that you see are either provoked and started by women, or they're false accusations. And none of that is actually spoken about. Nobody actually speaks about when things get debunked. They speak about the lie. The lie circles the world twice before the truth comes out. So I don't know. Does anybody else have anything to add on that?
I want like to add something to it. Like I honestly, like it kind of frustrates me, like a little bit whenever I see stuff like this. Like it does create this false sense of fear, you know, like they don't bring in the statistics of whenever a female is not acting feminine or not in her feminine frame type, like you're not saying the like they don't tell you statistics on how many times like couples have went out and because she wearing something that's provocative or however they want to say it, like, and the dude get hurt over it. You know, they don't want to talk about that, you know? Like they don't want to talk about like dressing modest. Like they think it's I don't know why. Like, and I'm speaking from just our culture. Like, I'm speaking on my culture personally. Like, everybody else can have their own opinions, but I know our people are suffering mainly, and it's on the news. You know, it's on the news. It's in the media. You know, they think it's cool to do all this stuff. You know, you can't tell the difference right now in this day and age between a lady and a whore.
But if the man dare tell the woman to wear something appropriate,
there
then
you go. Now we're controlling.
Right, controlling. He's insecure. Oh, he should be proud. It's crazy. I've heard the same things being spoken online as well.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like you're not even taking into consideration his safety on protecting you if somebody actually walk up to you and don't want to walk away. You know, but it is what it is. You know, I think people, it's ultimately behavior, you know, and you talking destructive versus productive. And a lot of people, they don't want to talk about that because they don't want to make those personal changes with themselves. And they rather put people's lives in jeopardy, whether it's themselves or even their kids or their loved ones. They don't care, you know, and I think it just comes from respect. You know, like our culture is messed up when it come down to respect. You know, people want respect, and it's not even, they don't have nothing to respect. You know, we don't have nothing as far as we got spending power. Yeah, we got spending power, but what's our buying power actually? You know? And it really start with that. They don't want to, like, these are topics and conversations. Like, I done looked at more than enough videos. Like, people not talking about this stuff. Like, they not. If they is, it's in a very small pod, and that person probably got 300 followers, maybe, you know? But that was just my take on it. Like, anybody can add more if they like.
I want to hear from you guys. Like I said, everybody feel free to talk. You are free here to speak. Say what you want. None of us, well, even if you do get offended, who cares? This is, no snowflakes here, please. Yes, Jedi Mike.
Yeah, well, one, I just want to be kind of very, cautious on this topic, whatever, because I personally have family members who've been in situations of assault. However, even then, like even my own mother, in situations before she met my father. However, even then, coming from her, one thing how she conduct me in terms of how I treat women, how I protect them, or whatever it might be. One thing she also told me, she took this line from one of the books that the movie came out called Dune, and one of the lines that I took out of that movie in the book, it says, "Fear is the mind killer," right? And plain and simple. I think that you can be the captain of your fate or the master of your soul, but like life is intended to come from you, not at you, and that's how you have to respond. I do believe that we as people can be products of our environment, and I do think that we have to have a take in consideration of self-awareness of areas that we might be in, especially like if you see a high rate in terms of violence, high rate of whatever crime might be, then you have every choice to move away from that or remain in that environment and lead to consequences that may result in your staying there to happen. I don't think that, like I said, in terms of the villainizing the men when ultimately they should be your protectors, it basically you're almost kind of writing, almost like writing your death sentence. Basically, the people that are supposed to protect you, you don't want them to come in and actually be in that role, and because you're thinking, oh, well, they're going to be my abuser, they're going to be my, they're going to be, like I said, the boogeyman. I don't think that for many times that over times that we think that as people that villainizing our protectors, our leaders, hence is going to be leading to a solution, but actually be the complete opposite. There's many stories, as you can see, that that happened recently where obviously we had false allegations in our own community about violence and stuff like that. But even then, when situations where there were violence, we didn't know when the context, when facts were presented, what led into that situation happening in the first place. So I think that for many things that men, that we have to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position that if we get in these situations where there's violence or any type of that we're handling ourselves in the best way possible, so that we won't be, on CNN or Fox News or anything like that as the boogeyman that we might be presented as.
That's another good point. And Caprice, I want you to say your part as well, really quickly as well. But you, Jedi, you brought up a great point because nobody sees the build up to that boom final. Everybody only sees the boom, and they think, oh, well, the man is such a bad man because he assaulted her. Never mind the fact that she probably assaulted him 10 times before, and he responded finally. But I guess it doesn't matter because a man should never hit a woman, no matter what. You should just take it like a man. Men, take it and be quiet. Go ahead, Caprice.
I just wanted to give like a quick example before I go back to my family. I was, so maybe like 10 years ago, well, I've been out of high school for 12 years, but 10 years ago, my neighbors had a daughter. So she was like a couple years older than I was. And I'm not condoning any kind of violence to anyone, but she was killed at a bus stop. The story was from the witnesses around that a man walked up to her at a bus stop as well, and he was trying to pursue her, like talk to her, hey, beautiful, how are you doing? Like the stuff like that. And she was very nasty to him, saying like, get away from me, like, just being nasty, but being rude. And not knowing what that man was going through, he put on his gun and he shot her like point blank. That's just to go to say that being feminine, being nice, being kind is the way to go. It's not going to hurt you to, say hi back, or to say, even if you have a lie, say, I have a boyfriend, but you have some really nice shoes. It didn't go about, go about your day. You never know, like a smile. My father always told me to never be rude or mean, because you never know what somebody is going through. You never know what they're capable of doing. So every time I would get approached, I will always be nice, always be receptive. Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you so much. And, have a good day. And I just keep going. And I'm not saying that he had the right to kill her, whatever the case may be, but maybe she would have been here if she would have, I don't know. That's just me.
I see what you mean. It could have been different. We don't know. And another thing that I wanted to bring up with when on Thursday when she said that was the fact that when a woman is more feminine and acting like a woman, men tend to defend you more, or they don't want to harm you, or they feel they want to protect you more because you are acting feminine. You are being in a more submissive role. I'm not saying you're being submissive to that man specifically, but you're being submissive just in your actions by, being coy, being, those kind of actions bring you more protection than actually trying to buck against a man, trying to put yourself on the level against a man and thinking that you're going to scare that man off. Women, I have news for us. We are not intimidating to men. The majority of us anyway, unless you're like 400 pounds, but the majority of us, men look at us like I could just like that to your head and you can go flying. They're not intimidated by us, ladies. We can't. Like, if they really wanted to, they could just do some whatever. You finish your point, Caprice. I'm sorry.
Just last point before I get off. Like Black women to be specific, we always yell out, Black women need to be protected. But when the very men have like say something to protect you, hey, hey, love, don't wear that. It's always a rebuttal. I can wear what I want to wear. It's like, if I'm sure some of you guys maybe heard, maybe like Dave Chappelle say, like, if you're not a police officer, you can dress in a police officer outfit. Don't get mad when someone comes up to you and want help. It's the same thing for like, the Jezebel looking clothing. It's the same thing. I don't understand why no one gets it, but I digress. Everyone have a good evening. I'm going to go back to my family. Bye, everyone.
All right,
Pleasure
take
meeting you.
care.
Thank you so much for joining us, Japrees. I'm going to let Mr.
Ameera.
Mickey in as well. Yes?
Oh no, that was me.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
to touch up on what she was saying. Well, no, actually, what both of you were saying, where it's like, you try to step up to a man and things like that, and you want us to protect you and things like that. There actually was a study that says more men are not protecting ladies now, and I already knew, I saw it coming, because I'm like, well, because of the laws, because of how you've demonized and villainized men, as you have said before. We're just so detached from you that we do not care anymore. We won't, but I will say this: we'll protect the ones who are our wives, the woman who we know that we picked. We'll protect her. Other ladies out here, y'all fend for yourselves. And I hate to have to say it like that, but that's the truth now. This is a result and a hell of your own making that you chose. Because, like I said, this is in the 60s or 50s where we can go out. Yeah, if we saw a woman get hurt, of course we men will group together to go help and save her. Now, if we do anything, there's consequences for us to do this. We can't just go out willy-nilly. Like I said, we're not freaking Batman and Superman. You got to cut that crap out. This is the real world. That's not how it works.
I've seen men actually happy to see women get physically assaulted, because a lot of men are kind of tired of seeing women being so masculine and aggressive that they're like happy to see a woman actually get treated like a man, because they're like, you act like a man, you get treated like one. So I've seen men actually just step back and let nature take its course when it comes to women. There was a video, a really old video. I'm sure everyone has seen it. It was like on a New York subway, a woman, it was a really big guy, and he had on like this red and white jacket, and she hit him, and he put his hand back. It was almost like he was gathering all his ancestors, everybody that he knew from the past, and just across her face. And no one did anything. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. There were some guys who tried to fight him, but he took care of every single one of the threats with no problem. It's crazy. Hi, Mr. McGee. Welcome in.
Hey, what's going on, Ameera? Hey, salute to everybody on the panel. First time jumping in. Ameera, been following you for a nice little minute. Definitely been seeing you on the Lapeef show, so I appreciate what you bring to the panel and whatnot, and creating that diversity and creating that sense of femininity. So definitely respect to that. I think absolutely. I think one of the biggest things when I'm just looking at the overall dynamic between brothers and sisters in regards to African Americans and the struggles that we have in regards to like our relationships and just how our women are, how our men are. You got to talk about the elephant in the room. We don't get to this point without our culture being broken. Like when I look at you, Ameera, you were embedded in your culture. So when I'm looking at you far as being like a Muslim, and you see the culture that comes with it, it's intertwined. There's no separation between day-to-day life and your religion, so to speak. And I think when it comes to most African Americans that, like, let's say they represent Christianity, there's a separation between their religion and in their day-to-day life and how they live out their culture. It's a big separation. So even when it comes down to like marriage and stuff like that, I mean, for most Christians, you go to college or maybe you just go out into the work field and you find a husband or you find a wife on your own. Now, if you look at things biblically, and I know you can see this, Ameera, because again, Christianity, or at least Christianity and Muslims share the Bible to a degree, even though the approach is the same, that you guys have the Quran, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but when you look at the culture, let's just say the biblical culture of marriage, a man couldn't just go out there and just snatch anybody up. Even if he was to go and approach a young lady and he found interest in her, and let's just say they came together and they had relations, he still had to go to that father and ask that father for for the woman's hand in marriage, and that father could reject it and say no, and he would still have to pay the bride price. So there's an entire culture within the scriptures for us that, like I said, that adhere to the Bible that we don't live out. It's like the answer is clearly there. If you look at African Americans, what happened to us? We came here in slavery. Our entire culture was ripped apart. And from that point on, we have been trying to carry the mantle of somebody else's culture, and it doesn't work for us. And that's huge. So when it comes to us trying to make these relationships work, nobody knows their role. Ameera knows her role because of what? You look to your religion. Your religion has the culture construct there. So you have a fear of Allah that is there. And everybody knows their role. The women know their role. The men know their role. When you look at us, like I said, within Christian circles, we do not know our role. Nobody takes the scriptures. Nobody takes the scriptures seriously like that. Nobody is looking to the scriptures and say,
but you can blame
you know
prosperity gospel on that.
Everybody has a Bible. Everybody can read. I can't even just leave it there. Everybody has a Bible in their house. So whether or not we decide to say, hey, I actually fear our God and going to have that much respect for our God and look to God to set the tone for my life, to say, hey, I'm not going to go out here and just sleep with this girl as a man. I'm going to approach her father and say, hey, father, this is my house. This is my career. I have everything intact. Can I have your daughter's hand in marriage? What would that look like? So at some point, if we're going to all be like, like I said, for those that claim Christianity as the way to follow or whatnot, right? Ameera culture is a reflection of what we find in the Bible. Now, maybe we start to separate in regards to Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Christ, peace be upon him too. Maybe we separate there, right, from a doctrinal standpoint. But the foundation and the cultural things is what we need. This is why it's so easy for Ameera to fall into her femininity. She has her culture. We don't. If you look at, I've heard this on the Lapeef show so many times, Black people are not a monolith, but a lot of us still share Christendom, right? But even with that, we don't approach it from a biblical standpoint.
Nope.
We don't look at it and say, hey, let's go ahead and execute the culture that we find in the Bible. And I'm not talking about, killing folks and stuff like that. I mean, it would solve a lot of problems. I mean, people committing adultery and people getting bodied for doing such things and so on and so forth. But let's just say getting away from the judgment and just executing the actual culture and how God intended things to be. The longer we stay away from those things, the more problems we will continue to have. Most times when we have these conversations on or the Lapeef Network is having these conversations, man, God thrown to the back. He thrown to the back. Yep. They sat up there and was questioning Kayla in the after hours. Now she's supposed to be a Christian.
Don't get me started. Please don't get me started.
I already know Jedi Mike.
No.
She's supposed to be a Christian, and she was throwing basically God to the back, like, I'm gonna just do me. Now, what kind of representation is that? Because the biblical culture is not instituted. That's why, like I said, you see a mass difference. And I'm not trying to come on here and just like worship and praise Ameera. I mean, I understand that you're somebody's wife, but I understand the dynamic of what the culture is. There's no separation. You get to America and everybody like, I'm a Christian, but everybody living all these different kind of lifestyles that don't represent the culture that you find in the scriptures. So until we get to a point, and it got to start with the fellas. We got to set that standard.
Yes.
We got to set that standard.
Yes,
you can't sit up here and complain about women not being feminine and not doing all this type of stuff, but then still sleeping with them. You creating more problems for anybody else that's trying to deal with that woman. So show some restraint, show some pride, be a man of the Most High. So I think that's the biggest difference. Like I said, when I see Ameera step on there and she has this presentation about herself, I understand because it's a cultural thing. But I also understand the backdrop of African Americans in this country, our history, and how everything was stripped away from us in regards to our culture.
Including religion. Include religion in that.
Absolutely.
Don't exclude it, because that's some real problem that nobody want to talk about.
Check it out, Ego. I'm not excluding it. That's why I'm saying culture. Culture and religion is one in the same. It's not a separation, but in America it is. The religion and the culture is two separate things. Ameera, there's no separation in regards to her culture and religion. It all work together. So we have to get back to that point, but it's got to start with men got to step up and start taking the culture seriously and putting, and having a standard. If you want these women to stop acting like that, start telling your homeboy to stop sleeping with all these chicks that's willing to give it up. Tell them to stop. You stop.
Yeah.
It's got to start somewhere. You cannot be just knocking girls down like bowling pins and then expecting them to start acting like wives. You got the gun. Stop shooting all these bullets. Chill out.
Mm-hmm.
Represent the Most High. Bring the culture forth, and we can have that same standard. We lost our culture. We lost our heritage. It was stripped. Start looking at that. That's where the problem is at. This culture of America does not work for us. We can clearly see that in our communities. It don't work. It don't work for us. Maybe it may work for a Caucasian American. No knock to y'all, but it's their culture. I can understand it. I completely understand it. Maybe it works for people on an individual level. But when we talking about a community, it's got to get to a point where we can return back to our culture. And like I said, if we are Christians, it's easy because we got the book to open it up to say, oh, here you go. Oh, this is how I'm supposed to approach a young lady. Oh, this is what God expects out of me. This is how my behavior is supposed to be. Oh, I'm supposed to pray 3 times a day, similar to Muslims that pray 5 times a day. Oh, the Shabbat comes on a Saturday. Oh, Muslims, the sun goes. I mean, it's an entire layout for how a man and a woman are supposed to operate. Don't even just put the word Christian in your mouth if you're not going to live out the biblical culture. But that's all I got. I appreciate you, Ameera, for letting me on this panel.
McGee.
Right on, my goodness, we weren't ready. We weren't ready.
Right on.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Please stay if you don't have anything to do. Please stay. I just want to call out the super chats really quickly because I'm at a loss of words since Mr. McGee has spoken. Just really quickly, we have Jonathan Barronville. He says the woman in America is the safest and most free woman compared to any women anywhere else in the world. The irony is the safety provided in American society is the very reason, in bold letters, why you can confidently run in the Victim Olympics. So cry me a river. Thank you, Mr. Jonathan Barreville. And then we have Kima says, I'm a lifetime celibate. Oh, goodness. And Neo Moses says, Christianity is a counterculture to what America is teaching. And the Bible is clear. Be in the world, not of the world. Many want the world, not the Lord.
And I want to emphasize what you just said there. And shout out to you, man, McGee, for saying that, because as not only as my parents being being pastors, but also I'm a teacher as well, and then ministry is what I'm pursuing later in the future. But one thing about this is that there's no partnerships and roles. When you hear this type of name get thrown out there, that a lot of times we misconstrue the word and talking about the main things about obedience and self-discipline. And I don't care any religion you subscribe to or any type of morality or code you subscribe to. The thing is that the hardest thing for people is self-discipline, right? But self-discipline also comes with self-accountability. And so with that, I think people want to make the distinction to depart from that. And you're absolutely right saying I think that it starts with the men, because even as African Americans, we were farmers. We were farmers back in the day, right? And as we talk about us as a people in terms about legacy, what we sow our seed into, we have to reclaim in terms of the power we have as men, but also knowing that we have the power to pursue our legacy and have control where that direction of that legacy goes, whether good or bad. So I think that I just want to commend you for saying that a lot of people that this prosperity gospel is also going to the point what you're saying that I've been a very detriment to the church, but also to more importantly the Black community, because like I said, to pick and choose, and we don't want to take away one mistake conviction with condemnation. Conviction being identifying when you're actually reading the scriptures, oh wait, there's a problem in my lifestyle, right? And now it's time to me to actually implement ways to get to that. But when condemnation, it's easy when to say, oh, you're judging me. We're the only race of people that we can't tell our own folks to clean our own room, as I mentioned before. And also when you talk about being offensive, I keep going shout out to Jordan Peterson. Us as Black people, we're not thinking, but in order for you to think, you have to risk being offensive. I don't care if people get pissed off when we're talking, when you have McGee talking or me or any other people on this platform that's talking about truth. This is for men and women. Is that, in order you actually to receive knowledge, you have to risk being offended, but knowing that even though you're offended doesn't mean you weren't told the truth.
Exactly, Jedi. And the thing is, with our for example, what I've noticed, it's just that they claim to be Christian, but they're really not. And the thing is, like I said, right now I'm in the process of trying to figure myself out about whether to follow it again, because I've actually took the time to actually read the whole Bible. This whole year was my freaking goal of reading the whole thing. And shout out to Ameera. I plan on reading the Quran next. I know a little bit about it, but I'm planning on reading that next. But I do want to say this: they're not Christians. The people who claim they are not, because they're not okay. So not true Christian. I think I'll just label that. You're not true Christian because you don't follow the text word for word. If you did, you would have been married and know to follow your man the correct way you're supposed to. And if he's the if he is the servant instrument of God that you're supposed to be following, you follow God through the man. I don't know what part of the Bible you missed that at. My grandmother put that in my face so many times when I was young. And to the point where I got older, I understood it. And I'm like, okay, that's exactly what that means. What you're doing is you're taking parts of what you're taking a book and you're interpreting it to be what you think that it is instead of what's actually on the page. Bolo on the Lapeef show has always talked about this. You got to understand, you can't make it out to what you want it to be. It's what's written in the freaking word. Stop that. Because the more you're trying to make it sound good and nice so that you don't have to follow it or using it as an excuse as a crutch. As a crutch to try to say that, well, that's not how I interpret it. This is what it no. It's what you wanted it to be. It's not what was written. You got to stop that. That's not how books are written.
And I want to
Go
make a
ahead, Jedi.
distinction here. I just want to clarify something, especially just this platform, like this conversation, or we come from many different sides, perspectives, in terms of the religions. And I don't want to say have a biased point of view from my from Christianity or what mirrors with her religion. Oh, Ameera, you gotta say something?
Just really quickly, I had someone who wanted to take their way out, and that's Mr. What the Funk. Mr. What the Funk, thank you for joining us. I saw your message that you have to get going.
Actually, let Cora go first. I would let Cora go first.
Wait, I thought you said you're leaving. I thought you said you were.
I asked to.
I do.
I have to leave as
Cora
well.
as well has to go, so I was going to let her go first.
Okay. Go ahead, Cora.
I just thank you all for having me on. This was a very good discussion. I didn't get to speak on S. McGee, but that was just so nourishing to my soul because that is a big part of what's missing, especially in the Black community. So I even posed the idea. I was like, let's have a male-led Black pill community, if you will, But anyway, just the idea to throw out there that we're for marriage, we're for women saving themselves for marriage, we're for the biblical standpoint of everything, but it's man-led. But anyway, that's just an idea. You all have a great night, and thank you for having me on. I got to get ready for work in the morning.
Thank you, Cora. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Have a good night.
Bye.
And What the Funk, you said you were taking off too?
Great conversation, you guys. Yeah, I have to get ready to go too. I said, great conversation, you guys. Just quick 30 seconds. I'm going to kind of just say that we have to remember in America, and it's happening globally, it's not about religion. The religion is capitalism. The religion is capitalism, and it's the thing that people value the most. It's not about code. It's not about alchemy. It's not about trying to say. It's all about dollar. That peg. And we have to also realize, and I think it's also great that Wes came in here. There are many of white people who are our allies, and maybe they just don't know it yet. Because what's really truly happening is that there's white sacrifices. And the powers that be are even sacrificing their own. It's not white supremacy so much. It's about elite supremacy, because now it used to be about white supremacy, but now the elites are even sacrificing other white people because in the end, all they care about is the bottom dollar. We honestly need to have a come together meeting with all of us and truly try to see the bigger picture of all globally and attack all these governments, attack all these gatekeepers, and really try to figure out how we as people can live better again. Last thing I want to say is also, and with the father court systems, it's happening to white men as well. It's happening to lots of people who are not getting treated fairly. And men, we need to have a father's rights matter movement where we can say, hey, we'll be racist next year, but we need to spend real time as men globally and really start to figure out how we as men can get into our children's lives again the way that we really need to be. That's it. Got to go to another panel. Y'all be awesome.
Thank you, What the Funk.
And Jay, and if you're in Jip, up.
Say
What?
again?
Oh, I didn't hear what he was saying.
I thought he called me Jedi or
Oh.
Jay. I think he said.
Yeah, he saw
Jedi
either us or two. I don't know what he said, but
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I've talked to him before, but I don't know if I thought he meant you, but I thought he said Jay. But
Oh no, Jay. Jay is trying to come on right now. But Jay, we're closing down now. Jay, I'm sorry, I didn't close the streamline. I'm sorry, Jay. We're about to close down now. I'm sorry. You know what? I'll let him in. I'll let him in anyway. We'll just do the last one. Okay.
All right.
Gotcha. Welcome, Jay. Sorry.
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
Well, good. Thank you.
Okay, I want to talk on the topic when you say women stop forcing your way into men's spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is very prominent in the Black community. And what I mean is, it's almost like, I think the biggest problem between Black men and Black women is that Black women feels as though they are supplement to men. And the problem that we having with Black women having with us is that naturally Black men is rebuking Black women coming into our space as far as like trying to be masculine. The job thing, I'm sorry about my noise, let me turn it down. As far as with the job thing, making money, they seem to think that equates with being masculine. And they feel like if they making more than us, they take away our masculine. I hear Black women all the time say, we could do what y'all can do. And that's just not the case.
That's true. Jedi, you were about to say something about what we were speaking about the Bible and the Christianity part of it. Were you about to say something about that? Because I wanted us to not forget that point that you were on.
Well, yeah, because I just want to make a clear distinction that like me, McGee, even Amir, like we might be coming from a bias, or Jay might be coming from a biased point of view because of our own religions, but you can replace that in terms of any type of moral foundation that you subscribe to, whatever, and hopefully in most common moral foundations they cause you to be leads to you being self accountable for your actions and how you affect other people in the world. So I just want to make sure that even then, regardless of any moral foundation you follow, like I said, it comes also with, like I said, obedience, but also self-discipline. And the thing is that I said the prosperity gospel that has been kind of been led into detriment of just terms of the church is that even then we like to pick and choose what we apply to and run away from, I say, actual true. I'll say, in scripture, in the Bible, we talk about true deliverance or true actual healing when it comes to certain issues in our life that actually might be resorting back to our own actions, our own general curses in our family that's passing down dysfunctional behavior that we don't want to have those enough provoking conversations amongst our family about. So that's what I just want to encourage, is that anything that you do, any type of moral foundation you have, as it requires self-discipline. And like I said, we even meant with the truth that's going to be presented to you is that a lot of people are not going to be rejecting the truth, but just because they reject it doesn't mean you have to. That's because even then, when you have these false prophets that come out there and be hypocritical, not only just in the religion, but even in this space, you can inherently become a wolf in sheep's clothing. But even then, the scripture, don't be so swayed when people want to pick and choose scriptures that deflect their own accountability, because even the Bible says my enemy also knows my word. So be careful what you're saying on that, in terms of people being so swayed when they have to throw, well, the Bible says there's no condemnation with me. But like, ma'am, it doesn't say you're free from actual criticism and actually correction. So don't.
They said that Satan knows the Bible as well. He said Satan knows the Bible.
My enemy knows my word. Yeah.
And can I please add to that? When we talk about accountability, right? I was just on Anton's show earlier, and we was talking about accountability for women. And I guess they didn't like what I had to say, because I felt like Black women don't take accountability, because I'm talking about Black women because that's all who I usually encounter with. I said Black women don't take accountability because they got Black men to blame. And as long as Black men is here to blame, they won't ever take accountability. The reason why I feel like the reason why a lot of Black women giving us pushback about a lot of black men coming on here. They like to say, since we giving black women accountability, they like to say that we hate our mothers, we hate our sisters, we gay, we all of this. And the reason is that the government allowed black women not to have accountability. It was always blame the man. And when they talk about leadership, and I said they didn't like what I said, black man leadership, they don't. Only time black women throw up a black man leadership is when black men is holding them accountable. So they quickly tell us that, wait, you the leader, you supposed to be the leader. So they only refers to our leadership when it benefits them. But we all know that black women do not respect black man leadership. Black man leadership has been replaced by the government, which is called welfare. And I brought up the degrees. I feel like in the black community, not all community, but in the black community, black women degrees is an upgrade from welfare. It's just to show it's just to prepare black women not to see value in black men. That always have been our market of turning black women against black men to break up the homes. Now, I was talking to a white female pastor when I was in Cincinnati, Ohio. Well, Cincinnati and Kentucky right by each other. And a white female pastor, we got on this topic of interracial marriages. And this white woman, female pastor, blew my mind. At first, I didn't have a problem with saying it, but she blew my mind when she got to start telling me that the purpose of interracial dating. She was describing, like, as a white. She told me, this is her words. She said, as a white person, we can be having a good day till we see a black person. And what she was saying is, she said, we wish that we had your skin. She said this out of her mouth. All white people wish they had black skin. So what she was saying is, like, the purpose of interracial dating is to get rid of the dark race. And she said in the next 50 years, you won't see black people no more. Only time you see somebody that's of our color and darker will be in a museum. They try to make everybody tan and lighter. This is the reason why they teaching our little daughters. This is the reason why they teaching our little daughters to see value in more white men and Asian men.
Hey Jay, I'll be honest with you, bro. It ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? When you talking,
it's working. I haven't seen a black. I haven't seen a fully black kid in a long time.
Listen,
besides outside of my family.
I don't think there's any grand conspiracy.
You talking 6 children per household?
When did you ever see a fully black kid?
What I mean is of our color.
Like, you talking 6 children per household versus 2.
Yeah,
but the thing is, it's happening.
Like, I have
nowadays,
numbers on this.
Could I say something to you, Ego?
Yeah,
nowadays, our younger females, the younger black, see, we finna be old and out the way. What we got going on don't matter no more.
Old.
We gotta concentrate on the kids.
We the ones who gonna be breeding next, bro. Like, do you not? I don't know how old you are.
What I'm saying is that when you get it, because I see when I talk to my nieces and these little kids nowadays, my daughters, they don't see problems. They all prefer white men, for one.
I got one for you. Have you ever read Dr. Francis Cress Welson's work? Have you ever read Dr. Francis Cress Welson's work on genetic annihilation?
No.
Okay, it's saying the exact opposite of what you're saying. If you're talking superiority as far as genes go, what happens? Like you said, somebody get lighter. They don't become white though. They don't become
But they become white. Now imagine a mixed kid, right?
They tried it in Australia already, bro. It failed.
I know what I'm saying is, now think about it. Imagine if we was all mixed and we have a baby, or a woman have a baby, a mixed woman have a baby by a white man. That baby's gonna come out white. Actually, to be honest, my baby mama got 3 mixed kids.
Who cares?
She darker than me.
That is personal preference.
Why is the train over there?
Jay.
You talking personal preference, and she's choosing to do that. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
Jay, I
Like
got
we
a question.
talking
I got
how
a
many
question.
people on
Who's
this planet?
screening these
I
people?
don't think Caucasian people 1 billion strong on the planet.
Oh,
Hey, Jay, I got a
Like
question,
you
man.
want to
Like,
talk about
what
this
you
real?
bringing up
It's
this
like talk this
information?
real, bro.
Go
Like
ahead. Somebody got a question for me.
go ahead.
All right,
hold on.
all right,
Oh,
Jay. All right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, you got your point, you got your perspective. How does that, I guess my question would be, with the relationship dynamics in the African American community being what it is, which is in a pretty bad spot, with our families, our communities are reflections of the families that's in it. And, you know, our families are broken, so our communities are broken.
Come on.
With the perspective that you have, how does that help us start to mend our families so our communities can reflect? You know, it can reflect to the
I
outside world
personally
better,
don't think.
or just, you know,
I
just to
personally
ourselves better. You
don't
know what I
think.
mean?
I personally don't think. Dating outside your race is the answer.
Okay, I'm saying
It
so.
never been.
So I'm asking the question of.
Black people been with each other for thousands of years. That never been an answer. And it's not a race. It's not saying that I'm racist.
Okay, so you.
Bro, it's not
saying
about
that
it's
I
not
don't
about
feel
race.
like
You
people
talking
want to stick to their
No, bro. I ain't taking.
yeah,
Bro,
you
I'm not
talking
taking it like that.
genetic
I'm not taking it like that.
superiority.
You're
Like
not
you talking
racist,
on
but if
this.
your nieces
Guys, one
and
at a
your
time,
daughters
one at a
like
time.
white men,
One
that's
at a
your
time.
fault.
don't do it.
So basically, brother, what I'm asking. Okay, so you believe that the solution for African Americans to have better community or better family dynamics is to start dating outside our race? You think that would start to strengthen our communities?
No, I'm saying
That's
it's
what
not the answer to
you
date
believe
outside our
that we
race.
should
No,
do.
I don't believe that.
Okay. So what do you think the solution is to start to strengthen our family so our communities can start to look better, you know, and we
I
can start
got
to
the
come
best
together as a
solution.
community?
When you
What's
the
that, bro?
best solution is this. When you think
Okay.
about the black families and the way it is now, all these notifications, the black families, the problem is, no offense to no other races out here, but
No, I'm just talking about the African
when
American
you
community.
examine the black family, the main thing that's breaking us apart is white influences. Now, when you talk about the system, when you got the system is the main thing that's breaking us apart. Let's break the system down. If me and this black woman get pregnant, we got the system paying this woman to disrespect us, take our kids. So that's gonna grow resentment from us towards our women. And with on the woman's side, they feel like they got something in their pocket to use against us. So the system
All right.
I believe
Can we
the
stop
system
where
is
we as the
80% the
system
problem
doing
of
something?
our problem.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question, my bro. I don't mean to
How can
interrupt
we
you in the
stop
middle of
that?
your speech.
How can we stop
So
that?
I say this in respect.
We got the system,
So as a man, what do you feel you can do better? Because ultimately, if we get with a sister that decides to take us to the the court system and all that type of stuff, it can still reflect us in making a bad choice in who that woman was. Because we have to go through a vetting process of selecting women to carry on our legacies. That's why
Talk
most
to
of us
him.
get married for legacy purposes, right?
Talk to
So
him.
what can we do as men to do better in vetting the women that we decide to marry for our legacy's sake, to be an asset to our communities and not a hindrance?
Do you want me to be
What do you think?
100% honest with you?
No, lie to us.
Yeah, as a man, for sure, 1,000%, bro.
Okay.
Because
what I
this
feel,
is men talking, my man.
what
Okay, I'm listening, bro.
feel and what I have saw, black women don't look at black men like they are men. They don't
Hold up.
look at
Let
us
me
like we
pause. Let me
masculine men
pause.
because
They looking
every
at
day
you.
they see us.
We
Hold on, let me
pause.
finish.
not white
You
I'm
women,
asked me
sorry,
the
bro.
black
question.
women.
You know what? I did ask you a question. I'm gonna let you get your. I'm
You
gonna let you
said
get
you
it off,
started
my
off
bro.
with
Okay,
Sorry
black
about
women.
that,
He
bro.
said we.
They don't see us as a masculine man. How they view us, because they see us every day. We getting emasculated every day in public. We getting killed by police officers. Police officers walk away. We get disrespected. We get
All right,
fired from our
my
jobs
bad.
because of our race.
Let me pause.
So they
Let
don't
me
look
pause. Let me
at black
pause.
women. Don't look at us like we have power.
All right, my
And
boy. Let me
who
pause.
they do
Now,
look at like a
that might.
man is white men and Asian men.
Okay, let me say this. Okay, I got you. My thing still comes back to the man, right? Because I almost been married for 10 years, right? I got a black wife. I got two little black boys, right? So I've been married for 10 years. I'm 38.
Speak on it.
I've been knowing my
Yeah.
wife since she was 15. So what I'm saying is, at some point, I got a chance to know my wife for 10 years before we got married. You know what I mean? So it was like a whole vetting process before I said, okay, babe, will you marry me? Right. So what I'm asking you, so there are black women that do exist out there that do look at us in a positive light, right? You know what I mean? So what I'm asking you as a man, what can we do better as men to strengthen our relationships?
With that question, I don't know, because money is having a lot of money don't make you having what I'm trying to say, McGee. Can I please say this? Get this out.
I got you, my boy.
A lot of us feel like, a lot of us black men, we feel like if we have money, somehow we doing the right stuff. But that's not the case. Like, it's a lot of black men that's rich, but we don't got power. We can't control if, let's just say, police brutality, if a cop kill a black man, we get them arrested and put in prison. We don't have power to do nothing else. Only thing that we can do with our money is buy material stuff. We don't have power.
All right.
And that's what we're missing. We don't have a system for our black women to go run to when they need us. We don't have nothing to really offer black women. So we force these black women to go to other races. When black women is falling, they can't come to us.
All right, so let me ask you a question.
Go back to his question. Let
me ask you a question then, Jay. So you got you got these young men coming up behind us, right, in our community or whatever, right? You got the younger generation that's coming from behind us or whatever. You know what I mean? So either you my age or you're a little older, or whatever. We're around the same age. So for the young men, what do we tell them coming up behind us? Like, hey, this is how you impact your community in a positive way. This is what you should look for in a female in regards to vetting her for her to become your wife. What do we tell them? Or do we just simply tell them, like, listen, the world is against us and it ain't nothing you can do about it. So just live your life however you want to live it until you die.
No, it's different ways, but we can't.
Could I answer that, Jay?
Gaslight them. We can't. What we've been doing is gaslighting since we've been going through this stuff for a lot of years in this 2021 crap.
Right.
We can't gaslight them and make them believe that we don't have the same issues. It's just because we able to make money, that don't mean the issues is still not there.
Right. That's why I'm trying to ask how do we start it at home? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not talking about money.
Can I answer that, McGee? Can I answer that?
Whoever want to jump in. Hold out. Whoever want to jump in.
I would say it's a dowry. You know what a dowry is, right?
A dowry is what the father gives to the bride once she gets married to the husband, and then you have a bride price that the husband gives to the family of the bride.
That's exactly what we're missing in our community right now. We don't have no standards on marriage and how our families are really being built. That's what's wrong with us. As far as we talking about, as far as the marriage rate and all that, the thing that's not working for us, in all honesty, our parents are not showing us that. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I come from a very large family. And how Jay's speaking on mixed race kids, man, bro. My mama got 8 kids, only 2 of them mixed, and my daddy got 12, and ain't none of them mixed.
Right, I got you. I got you. So
I come from an even larger background. You know what I'm saying? Like, my grandfather had 32 kids, and ain't now one of them mixed.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Like, my dad, he got 14. But those
you did what I'm saying.
Old.
But ask those men, what did they do, and why did they have such pride in themselves to where they did not want to mix their seed?
But what I've been saying, ego. Let me say this.
If you saying your dad had that many kids, bro, you need to understand they were the first generation to go through integration.
I understand that, but ego. Let me explain something to you.
So, brothers,
our ages and older, yeah, we believe that. But
where are these women that only want to make me?
I've been talking to a lot of young black people, and they believe in interracial dating. They feel like love who you love. Love don't got no color.
Genetic annihilation. I refer back to Dr. Francis Chris Welsing again.
So, Eagle, you know what I'm saying? So let me on the panel. So you know, and I know y'all got other brothers, and I'm other brothers on this panel that I know y'all want to speak, man. So this is gonna be like my last question or whatever.
I'm liking that you guys are having this conversation. I think it's a needed conversation, so feel free.
I'm listening.
I just feel like they guilt us.
I'm listening, McGee. What's up?
They're using our black women as breeding machines. like they always have been.
We are only ones green with our
listen.
women right now, and 80% of them are single, and most of them got kids.
It's a lot of black women going out to other races.
Look,
You talking 4%. You talking 4 to 6%. There's stats on this stuff, bro.
So check it out. So even if there is a lot of statistics that back, that back what you're saying, Ego. I don't know if like, just who Jay been around, and maybe this is what Jay world is where he live at. So I don't want to dismiss that, even though that might not be from a global standpoint or a national standpoint, right? So that still may be his real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
but
his
I'm still just kind of asking the question.
that.
Right, for sure. There you go. That's what I want to say. His experience. So basically what I just want to ask, man, like, we got all these brothers on the line. We know we having all these problems in the community. And I know we all, I know we frustrated with how relationships may go, how the world is going and all that or whatever. But if each brother could just lay out like a plan, what is a solution? Not to argue with each other, but just hearing solutions. So if these young generations is hearing us talk, they can peel from each brother to say, hey, man, this fits my world and I can plug this in. So whether it be you, Ego, whether it be Jay, whether it be Mike. Now, of course, my position is if you are a Christian, a Bible believing Christian, then we should extract the biblical culture and plug it into the black community. That is my foundation. That is what I believe we should do. But that I'm one person on the panel or whatever, you know what I mean? But for what other brothers that are on here.
All right, can I keep it real with you? Can I keep it real with you, Jay?
Let me finish what McGee asked me. Let me
let you go.
Really quickly, guys. Really quickly. Okay. I'm gonna be right back. Okay, I'll be right back. And JR is here, so you guys can see. Okay, yeah. I'll be back.
But back to what McGee asked me. Like honestly, bro, like I'm not a Christian myself. I don't practice Christianity. I feel like as far as Christianity goes, I'm saying that it has done more damage to our community because you're seeing that 80% of our women are single, and that's from a monogamous standpoint. Like a lot of people, they don't want to talk about that.
Hey, hold on, y'all. Hold on.
Let me finish my thought.
Yo. Let me step in for a second.
Okay, I hold my thought. What's up?
Who's that, JR?
Yeah, that's JR. Ameera, are you there?
No, she had to step away.
I can hear
she's there. She's about to ready to go. So I'm gonna let you guys finish rocking out for about another like 30 minutes or so. But go ahead. I just want to say good show, Ameera.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I'm glad I can get the conversation started. I'm like, I don't want you guys to stop at all, but I got to go wash dishes because I got to go be a wife. But please keep the conversation going. It's a needed conversation. Let it rock. Bye.
Can I please say something to McGee and Ego?
Make sure you hold it down, all right?
I got you.
Hey, Ego, real quick.
What's up?
My bad. Let me say this to Ego real quick. Ego, you believe in the scriptures, right?
I follow theology. I study all religions.
Okay, my bad. I thought you was going somewhere else. I thought you was coming from another perspective or whatever. It was just
I
in your
am
tone,
coming from a different perspective. I am coming from a different perspective.
I'm talking about for a brother that. I was just saying like a brother that like hold to the scriptures, but didn't see himself.
But that's what's dividing us, man. You need to understand that. That's what I'm talking about. As far as the Torah, you can go to Bhagavad Gita, you can talk about the Quran, you can talk about all these other books, but they need to be combined together because they got the same basic concepts, man. Man, woman, and child.
And
that's
you said
nobody want to have that.
Nobody
want to have that conversation. We're divided amongst racial lines. You divided amongst ethnic lines, class lines. I'm not just saying religion dividing us, but amongst our culture, yes, religion is the main thing that's dividing us. And we eating our people out here.
This is what I say. This is what I say. I don't mean to cut you off, my boy. When it comes to religion, when it comes to religion, right? Okay, I hear you on that, and you talking about the Christian perspective and all that or whatever, right? I got you, whatever. But it ain't really the religion that's dividing us, bro. Like, because nobody actually follows the text that we actually got on, that got at home. Nobody's following the text.
But it's the motif. It's not the religion itself, but it's the religious motif of it. You talking about what it's based off of. If we talking about Christianity and Islam, you have to understand there's a mindset that comes with that. These people, like you, the Bible has laws. The Quran has laws. The Torah has laws. But this is what's going on. Those are things that are dividing
So
us,
laws
and it
are
comes with a
important.
motif and a mindset that comes with it. You know, I was
They're not
listening to
dividing us.
Dr.
Just laws are important. Laws are important.
Listen, and I was listening to Dr. Claude Anderson, and he was speaking on this.
Among men, we can agree.
Yes, we can, and we can also disagree, but we have to agree. Otherwise, there's conflict. We have gone to war over
say something? Can I please butt in a little bit?
They're always going to be conflict. Long as
Can I please butt in a little bit?
Let me finish my thought real quick. Let me finish my thought. Y'all can have it.
Let Ego, hold on. Let Ego go.
Let him finish.
And then Jay, you respond, and I have to respond to this. I want to try to bring order back to this, this panel.
Honestly, a lot of people we don't have this solid mentality about who we are as a Moorish people. They don't want to talk about that. If we are talking about skin color and ethnicity and stuff like that, nobody want to speak on it. We ain't racist. We the only group of people that support everybody, but nobody support us. And that's what I was getting back to my thought on Dr. Claude Anderson. He's talking about how we are displaying inappropriate behavior based off of how people are treating us. If somebody hitting you in your head, you shouldn't ask them, or you shouldn't tell them, I'm sorry, my head is so hard. You should ask them why they're brutalizing you. That's what we're doing. That's what's dividing us. We're displaying inappropriate behavior. You talking about mental patient behavior.
Yes.
If you displaying wrong behavior towards a situation, you ain't never gonna have no positive outcome of it. And when you talk about grown men and women, bro, that's the problem with us. We displaying inappropriate behavior, especially towards our own people. You know, we dividing our men and our women, and they look like us. Every other culture and ethnic group, and like you saying, younger people, you know why? Because somebody has told them, hey man, our people can't work with each other, but everybody else do. Like, how that makes sense? Okay. That's back to what you were saying,
The difference
Jay.
is that when everybody else do is divide. You got to come to a head at some point. What everybody else do is they divide by principle and character themselves. When you look at white people, there's white trash, and then there's upper class or whatever, and then there's the middle class or whatever. So with black people, we doing the same thing. We looking at niggas that we do not fuck with,
also
and saying we don't fuck with y'all. So we need our laws.
Dead ass, and that's what's
going on. One mic. All right, so I know Ego just finished right now. Jay, you go respond.
I don't gotta talk for too much.
No.
Go ahead, man. I ain't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, cook it up.
No, so Jay.
Okay, I love what you said. I got a couple of little points. You right. Like for that situation, I don't mean to bring this on here on the live, but it was a lot of black people standing there when George Floyd was getting killed. The only thing we did was pull out our phones. No, because that would happen in the black community.
Inappropriate behavior.
Would have got their
I'm in
ass
Minneapolis
whooped.
right now. I could drive down the street with a camera and show you places that got fucked up because of it.
But
so
I want to
stop
say this. I want to
ending
say
the
this.
story where only people did was stand around
relationship.
because shit
To go
happened
back to
after that.
relationship.
Time passed.
Right, don't talk over each
It's
other,
already
okay?
shit that happened
Jay.
since George Floyd.
Okay, let's go
It's
back
already
to
shit that happened since George Floyd. No, you can't have a conversation talking about that small part without putting it in the context of where we're at today. We can't we're gonna keep talking about the past to a certain extent and be like, oh, look what happened when George Floyd died. But hey, you have to lose your point because where you're starting your point from.
Thank you. I don't have.
All right, go ahead. You're right. I'll give it to you. My bad, Jay. You got it.
Yeah, you interrupt. Okay, to go back to the marriage part.
You're right.
When you think of a marriage, they say marriage is it's business now. It's not love. It's mainly business. So when you say 80% of black women is single now, is not married. Okay, now then y'all say majority of black women is the most enrolled in colleges, which means is they generating a lot of money, right? Okay. Well, black men they not. We still at the bottom when it comes to education. So when you think about business, the best business decision for black women is to marry outside of their race.
Bro,
okay, let me respond to this.
If relationship is about business,
go ahead,
and we're not doing it, why would you marry if you making $200,000 a year? Most men will, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to get you to understand what I'm saying. If you're making $200,000 a year and this woman only making $20,000, you're not gonna see that's not a good business decision to invest your life with that person.
All right. Well, first of all, okay, let me try to bring some order to this because this whole conversation just went derailed, and I just want to say with Jay that next time if you come back here, you got to do a better job in terms of explaining your point, because you went from skin color to black women being an incubator to other races to George Floyd to other this and that. I'm like, you got to realign yourself, in terms of having providing your point and just be precise in terms of in the conversation next time. But secondly, I just want to let you know the pushback that you're getting is that to me, and I don't want to share some sentiments some people in the chat, but when you first came out, you kept talking about black women this, black women that, and I was and I was on the panel with Anton last night or this morning, or at least I saw it when I hopped off. But what I'm saying is that to me, when it comes across when I'm hearing you, and I'm just gonna keep a buck with you. I'm not gonna tiptoe or anything. It just sounds like you're just creating a bunch of excuses. Like that's just what I'm hearing from and what McGee is coming from. Because yes, you want to talk about Bible, take religion, take the Bible out of it. All this stuff that I'm hearing from you really is mostly excuses and being like another track star at the Victim Olympics, in my opinion. Because a lot of things that you're bringing out is still going back to us as men and our accountability and what we can in terms of what we can contribute in terms of our community, and just like I said to Jordan Peterson, clean our own room. I don't care all the stuff you mentioned about skin color, all that. No, excuse my language, all that bullshit that you went into about talking about with George Floyd and all that stuff. We need to stop as a people, and especially black people, going to the Victim Olympics and going to race and all the other mess. And start actually getting to the root of the problem. I understand you think you want to get to this whole Illuminati like scheme of what's going on, trying to to divide us as a people in our race. But dude, man, I say it starts with you. You have to start with the man in the mirror. And what I kept hearing with you was just a bunch of excuses.
Wait! Can I please push back now? Can I please push back to what you just said?
You retort, please.
I don't think he's making excuses.
Okay,
I thought it was bunkers.
Y'all let me. Okay, now.
Go ahead. No,
I understand what you're saying. True. Okay. When you say I'm making up a lot of excuses, and we men had to be held accountable. The reason why I'm tired of hearing black men getting held accountable. Hold on, let me finish my thought. All we have been seeing since I've been alive for 36 years of black men getting held accountable. The thing that we don't see is other people getting held accountable. I don't see white people getting held accountable. I don't see black women get held accountable. When we sit up there and say,
wait, say that again. What did you just say?
Hold on, let me finish. I'll let you finish.
Repeat that.
Huh?
Repeat that. What did you just say?
I said I don't see no other race of people getting held accountable like black men in particular. Black men is the only one go to jail for everything he do. Black men is the only one gonna be up there getting killed. Black men is the only one gonna be in poverty like how we is. Now, I got to say this. Please don't cut me off. We always say every time a black man speak out about something, we can't do it. We was always taught, no matter what happened to us, we got to find these avenues to deal with abuse in many ways. Abuse from our women, abuse from the system. We the only race of people can't really, we get abused all over America.
Zoe, I know you're about to respond. Hold on, I want to let you finish, Jay. I don't want to cut you off. When you're done speaking, let me respond to you.
Hey man, I would love to say something before I get off here too. If y'all mind, I would love to speak my piece before I get off.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure Jay's done speaking so we can get to McGee, and then I have to respond.
Okay.
So Jay,
we the only black men is the only men is the face, even though we probably don't accept it out of our mouth. But if every crime, everything that we do, we don't get looked at as like, okay, he made a human mistake. I have been in court where a white man got and did something bogus that I know that if that would have been us, we would have been going up to prison. This man got probation. So I'm tired of seeing black men, R. Kelly, Bill Cosby going to jail for rape, which they should go to jail for rape. Let me clear that up. But we don't see other
You're really tired.
Hey, stop saying that R word. Stop saying that R word.
Be careful the R word.
We don't put black women in prison for grabbing our dicks.
You woke up. You was like, no.
All right,
Bill Cosby, sorry. Oh, Bill Cosby. Oh no, I'm so tired.
Just let you know,
Bill
I have
Cosby,
no power.
Yeah,
I have
too much
power to
Jello.
everything folks off, whatever. But I wish I'm like, no, man, you gotta be careful with that word. But man, I've been trying to stick with you. Lord have mercy. But McGee, please go so we're able to respond to what he just said.
You know I am.
Okay,
McGee?
absolutely. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. I appreciate it, Doc. Man, so yeah, can you hear me?
yes, sir.
All right. So basically, this is what I want to say before I go, man. I know I brought up Christianity or whatever. I know that can be a trigger word for brothers in our community or whatever, because everything that the stigma that comes with it or whatever. I was more so saying that earlier, whatever, and using Christianity as a way that's relatable to people or whatever, you know what I mean? But I was basically talking about people that hold the scriptures as authoritative, that hold the Bible as authoritative. So my whole thing is, you know, for me personally or whatever, I think the answer is biblical culture, to take biblical culture and institute that. Now, can I just force that onto our communities? Absolutely, I cannot do this, but it can start within my household. So what I'm going to say to you, brothers, you know what I'm saying, that's on the panel or whatever, is I wanted to hear more solutions, even if those solutions don't necessarily line up with mine. Like, again, I'm for biblical culture 1000%, and instituting biblical culture as the foundation for our families to bring our communities together. Because again, we all know we got stripped from our culture. To me, I attach myself to biblical culture and I try to execute that as best as I can on a day-to-day basis. But for brothers that's on here and y'all got basically y'all have the ears of the people. I'm just saying, like, man, state your solutions so people can extract from each one of us, not to argue points. Ego, if you got all this stuff that you understand, that you know, just bring out your solution. You don't got to be combative with me. Don't got to be combative with nobody. You know, maybe this ain't the time to educate everybody on everything that you know, but just bringing forth a solution that would be beneficial to everybody. That's the only thing I want, because brothers on here seem to be sharp. I done seen some of you brothers on here. All y'all sharp, all y'all got something good that y'all can bring forth. We know the ills in our communities. We know it's broken. We understand that we frustrated. But as men, as the leader we understand, as the leaders that we understand that we are, bring forth some solutions, some concrete solutions. Again, you brothers know what my position is biblical culture, instituting that. I try to execute that on a day-to-day basis. I teach it to my boys at home. And then for those that know me, I try to extract the principles to give them the game as far as what I know according to the biblical culture. But for you other brothers, we know you have some solutions as well that can be a benefit. Bring that forward while we got the floor. This ain't a time to just flex to the knowledge. Bring forth the information to help the generation coming from before us or our own generation. Bring it out, because we know what the problems is, man. Salute to you, brothers. Love to you, brothers, man. Y'all be safe. Most High be with y'all, man.
All right, have a good night.
God bless you, bro.
Night, bro.
Yeah, receive that.
Appreciate that.
But like I said, I'm going to respond with everything what Jay was saying, because like you went, like I said, you kept going on and everything, and respect your time that you were given. But again, as what McGee said, us being men to provide solutions, we also be men of consistency in providing those solutions. We just can't say, hey, here's the solution, and then one day we out, and then after the same thing, doing a workout plan, do it 2 weeks and then we're done, whatever. But I want to respond back to what Jay was saying. Man, listen, I'm hearing you, because I also, like I said, I watch also your conversation you had with Anton, and I have some receipts here talking about this. Regardless of any other, you kept going back to this thing about white man, other community. I don't see other community, this blah blah whatever. And this is what I have to say. This is black men. We have an issue with this too. That I put my foot on their neck on this too. Just on accountability on both spectrums, on both black men and black women. But for you, I'm asking, what have you done? What have you done that has contributed in terms of benefiting the society, or actually providing solutions in terms of our community that you have done? I don't care what any other community have done. What have you done?
You want me to answer?
Please.
Well, I provided a few people, black families, particularly black dads, with jobs. A couple of years ago, I had a few ice cream trucks, and I also had a armed security company, Liberty Security Police LLC. You can look it up. And I hired black people. A lot of black families. I looked for the black families that was in like shelters, was coming to the food line, and I gave them opportunity to make money to provide for their family. When they was thinking about robbing somebody at that point in time, I came through. Now I'm opening up a food truck. I got a food truck outside. I'm trying to at least have about 5 food trucks. That'll give a lot of different black men opportunities to have, make money to provide for their families. I believe in, I don't believe money, like I already see all of us rich than just me. I don't believe in individuality. I believe in I really feel like sometimes I feel like God be blessing the wrong black people. And when I say that is when a lot of black people get rich, they only think about themselves. I feel like how am I going to be rich if my whole family is poor? If my family is poor and I'm rich, that means I'm poor. As a collective, when you think of Mexicans and other races,
There
they
you go
all
again.
come together.
There you go again, going back, bro. You get
okay. But
I
that's
didn't
my
talk about
purpose. That's my
talked about
solution.
you.
That's my solution.
You made a very interesting
to teach
point.
other black men to come up with their own business. I really feel like black men should never work a job more than 5 years. You should never be working a job, especially with the condition of how black men is today. We should always be aiming to own our own.
Wesley, what do you have to say about this?
We complain about everybody, but we need these people.
So,
Jay,
what I
made
mean,
a really
I see
good
you
point.
looking confused. What I mean is, we complain about all these other races, but we got to go to them asking them for a job, asking them for a house, asking them just to get help.
So
we can't go to our own black race and ask for help.
People of all races have.
All right,
people
hold
of
up.
all races have businesses that employ people of all races.
Yeah,
but for the most part, they employ their own first.
So
but, okay, hold on. Okay, here's the thing. You just contradicted yourself because you said, "Oh, these other people complain about this stuff, yet we're one looking them for a job." What the hell were you doing just the last 20 minutes?
No. What you asking me for a solution? What I mean is like when we do have black people become successful, a lot of them only think about them and theirs. They don't think about bringing everybody else with them. They don't want to think like that.
So, but we can't think like that.
Why should we?
We want to outshine the next. We want to outshine each other.
Lord Jesus, I pray. I cover the spirit right now.
Do you think that there was a part of people who left other black people behind that allows them to be like, for me to even move forward, I gotta leave some people behind if they don't stand on the same values, the same virtues, the same principles that I'm using for me to make my money? You don't think that matters?
Sure there's some people in your family that you know all they need is an extra push.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I think the basis of what he's
saying. Go, Ego.
That's life.
Real quick,
life was hard on me too, dog. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, I think the basis of what he's saying is that we really don't have no economic floor to stand on. Like we don't. Like Wes, she made the point that everybody has got jobs and everybody get jobs and stuff like that. But as far as like economic, like a whole stronghold, we don't got that, bro.
We
don't.
But
name 50 banks that we own.
But
Michael Jordan,
10.
Michael Jordan, all these rich black people, they don't do nothing. We still broke.
Hold on. So we can't use that excuse though, because the simple fact is that when it really come down to it, we don't support each other like we're supposed to. When it really come down to the wire, we don't do it. I could use for example, most of the time, most black people are always asking for a discount. They don't want to pay you what you're supposed to be paid in your business. So we can't always use that. And then everybody can't be a business owner. Some people gotta follow somebody. Everybody, like, that's crazy because everybody like, we got to get a business. We got to have a business. So everybody got a business. Who gonna do the working?
What I understand what you're saying. I'm saying in the black community, we need to own something because we don't own nothing.
But we got to learn how to work. But we have to learn
how
to work
we buy the most Jordans, and Jordan didn't do a goddamn thing for his black community.
But who fault is that? That's because we keep doing it.
Let's have the conversation on what Jay understands, because Jay did make a good point.
Jay made a good point
earlier, I think, about
talking financial literacy, bro.
Hold up. Listen, Jay made a good point earlier when he like, I like Jay better when he talked from his personal experience than when he started talking about other stuff. When he was talking about what he actually was doing in the community, that's somewhere we could start the conversation from and work towards an actual solution, because he like, if we all going to be honest, actually trying to create jobs for other people is one of the things that does help. So if the fact that he didn't succeed for some reason back then, or if it was some way that he could succeed now, or to at least change his viewpoint a little bit in that direction, something that he knows, because if we keep going off of these other talking points, he's already set in his ways to a certain degree.
Yeah,
I'm okay with like not having that conversation, because they say everybody can't go, but I feel like if like we have to care about what he's talking about or not to some degree, at least from my point of view.
And I'm
he's talking financial literacy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
financial literacy. No, I said start from where he's at. So he said where he started at was he had food trucks and what else you said, Jay? Ice cream trucks and stuff like that.
Trucks in the armed security company.
Yeah. So I get it.
Armed security company.
So the power.
Why you don't keep doing that?
I wanted to do the food truck. I got into the healthcare business. Then I started my own food truck. It's actually outside my house, and I'm trying to get at least about 5. And I know with the income, the type of money that I will be bringing with each food truck, I will be able to buy more food trucks and employ more. And I'm looking for men with some type of goals. I'm not just trying to get no man.
We can't go that far.
Trying to get enough money to get high and drunk and spend all. I'm trying to.
Listen, okay, but I want to try to.
You all over the place right now, and it sounds like
exactly.
it. I think
my point.
It's easy to tell.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jedi.
Because I'm trying to make sure bring kind of order to this, to this stream right now, because I think to our audience right now, this is a little bit confusing in terms of what we're talking about, and also with Jay that you're kind of going on a tangent with certain points that you are providing to the panel. I'm not discrediting that you are providing some points, whatever, but you got, like I said, be precise on what you're talking about. Because one thing, the first thing you came in going to was talk about with Black women and race and skin color. So, and then we're here at this point. I just want to make sure that what a pathway of dialogue and discussion that we're getting to right now, so we can provide at least some type of a positive discussion that we can present to the audience right now, because I can tell you right now, this is somewhat confusing to them right now. So I want to make sure
I believe this financial thing is more important than blaming the Black woman, blaming Black men. I believe in what Black men should be doing as far as like this financial thing. That's way more important. We way behind the line. I just feel like us as Black people, Black men especially, how are we going to expect our women to want them to follow us where we don't own nothing? If we see a Black woman and kids struggling on the streets right now, we don't got nothing to say, fuck that. We might give them $10 or $20, but we don't got nothing to get them out of that rut. We have to go to other people. They will have to go to other people to get them out of that. And what I'm trying to say is, we got all of these rich Black people, Black men. We got a few rich Black men. Instead of buying these designers, Porsches, Lamborghinis, we can invest that money into something else outside of wasting.
We don't have that.
If I can't.
Yeah, go ahead, Raquel. Go ahead, Raquel.
Well, it's Raquel. I'm not Raquel, but
wait, pronounce it again.
Say something, Raquel.
Yeah, Raquel.
Okay. But you can just call me Rock or Quell or whichever
okay.
works.
Rock. Got you.
Okay.
Rock.
So I guess I could use my personal example. Like, I'm married. I've been married about 4 years now. I've been with my wife 7 years. I'm not rich. I didn't have much when I met my wife, but she always told me if I had a plan and I knew where I was going, that she would follow me. The moment I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing as a man, she would stop following me right then. So the thing is, it ain't all about money. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to start having structure in our life and figuring out what's going on in our heads. Our problem as Black men is that most of the time we don't know what's going on up here. We ain't got emotional intelligence. We don't know how to control ourselves, and we don't know how to make good decisions when it comes down to picking good women. So that's where our problem is. We got to learn, we got to get our mind and our body and our spirit to be one. We can't keep doing the same things and then keep blaming somebody else for what happened. Like, we keep blaming other people. Well, it's this person's fault because I'm going to court. If we stop going to the court system, we ain't got to worry about how they treat us.
Right on.
If we start worrying about what everybody else doing and focus on, if I respect you and you respect me and we work together, then we ain't got to worry about gunning each other down. But we got to see ourselves in the next black man.
Yes. Right. But yeah, but on that point, Jay, it's just like when how you came across when you first came on here. That's what things like
and judge accordingly.
Right. Exactly. Right. That's what I'm saying. When you came up here, that's what people are confused. Because yes, I'm not saying some of the things you're saying about giving advice about the community. All right, yes, but it starts at a micro level. We can't talk about macro problems, and we're not talking in a micro sense of what we as individually as men are doing. And so that's why I asked you. Yeah, I understand you're doing with your trucks and all that stuff, but in the individual level, like I said, you keep making excuses to deflect in terms of your own accountability. Because, like I said, when you came in first, you just went in talking about the system, black women, and all this stuff in the Victim Olympics. And so,
Jedi, the reason why I came in and talk about black women and stuff because I caught partial of the live, and the first thing I caught was somebody y'all was talking about how black women don't see us as something y'all was saying. So I went off the topic. It was at the bottom of the screen, so I went off that. I didn't see the full live. So when I came in, I said, okay, I'm gonna talk about that, what they got showing. But I didn't know that we was talking about liberating black men and all this other stuff. Or else I would have got on the topic about like what we talking about. So that was even when on Anton Daniel show, on Anton show, I came in at the last minute. I didn't watch the whole 11 hours. I came in at the last 30 minutes of it. And I only heard a little bit, and one thing about me, I know a little bit about what Anton talk about on the show. Typically it be about black men and black women relationships amongst each other. So that's when I came in, because you brought that up. That's why I came in talking about black women. But
that's a hard place to come from, man.
If I had more content,
because
if I would have watched the live earlier, I would have came out a lot different.
But yeah, because when the time you came,
we've all been through that problem, and we understand.
Like getting rid of babies when they were talking. When that's when you came, that's when you came in at the live this morning, whatever. So that's what was kind of getting misconstrued. Where it's like when you came in, that's why you were getting the backlash you were getting because people didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
Right. And that was the reason. That was the reason because I didn't watch the whole live. I came in at the butt end of it, just like this one.
It's okay. That's happened to all of us.
I want to hear what Wes got to say about all this.
We went off the rails a while ago. I came on here for a certain reason, and then y'all just went woo. So yeah, I mean, there's so much going back and forth here. Like, and some of it does sound a bit absurd to me because I live outside of Atlanta. There's a lot of black-owned businesses down here. There are some mixed kids down here. There's like fourth-generation mixed kids down here. It's interesting, but there's still plenty of actual black kids down here. And I've dated black women, but I'm not walking through Atlanta and seeing black women just kind of throwing themselves at me, wanting to breed. Like I'm not seeing where all this.
But it's happening though. It's happening a lot.
Okay. Where's your area? That's
none
where
of
I
your
need to
business,
visit.
Jay.
I live in Wisconsin.
That's wild. Hey, hold Hey, come to Texas or something, man. Like,
Wisconsin is all.
You need to come to the South, man.
Listen. My city is the all black city.
Have
y'all heard of Milwaukee before? Have y'all heard of Milwaukee, Wisconsin?
Have you ever heard of the South?
Yes, I lived in San Antonio. I lived in Dallas.
There's some hoes in Milwaukee.
But Milwaukee is an all black city.
What's your favorite?
Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in Green Bay, brother.
Okay, so Green Bay is kind of mixed.
Yeah, so I know what you're saying, but at the same time, bro, like you got to think about the areas like that, but it's not a lot of us up here. They're migrating up here. Like it's mainly there because then you an hour from Chicago. So people go back and forth between Chicago and Milwaukee. So your experience, what they're saying is your experience is based off of where you're at right there. So I get what you're saying. Like I've been up here since February. It's not a bad place to be. It's money up here. But what we got to do as black people, man, we got to stop being the victim, man. We got to start making sure that we understand where someone else is coming from. Because like, since I've been up here, white people have been nice to me, man. Like, it's nice up here. People have been kind to me, willing to help me. I get what you're saying. But at the same time, sometimes, you know, man, when I first got up here, and I'm going to make this brief. I first got up here, man, I could tell the black people that were from up here and the ones that were from Chicago. You want to know how I could tell?
Yeah.
By how they looked at me, by how aggressive they were. So if we walking around with that type of demeanor, man, like, it made me uncomfortable. So it's like, I know it makes somebody else uncomfortable. We got to learn how to carry ourselves with decorum, man. That's a problem.
Come on.
That's a serious issue.
Now let me ask the panel. Let me ask the panel. Do you think we carry ourselves the way we carry ourselves and the way we act because we didn't have our dads to show us discipline?
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
That matters a lot.
It's our problem.
Yes, it does matter.
It's our fault.
Yes,
And no, the reason why I say it doesn't, because at a point, yes, I agree with that. It matters when you're a child, but when you're actually an adult, there's some things like, okay,
you can't say that, bro. You had both your parents growing
you
up.
cannot say that.
You had both your parents growing up, bro.
I didn't.
Most people,
I didn't, and I said it too.
Brought up as a child.
I didn't, and I said it too.
How they was brought up as a child, damn near how they gonna be.
Okay, that's to your point.
It does.
Make another point. Bring another point.
Even though it does matter, that's not
But
the end all
that's
be
why I
all.
said we need to get. But that's why I said we need to get mental help. Like, we need to start going to therapy, man, and figuring out what our issues is, sort through them, so we learn how to navigate through life. That's how we're gonna fix those problems. We can't keep saying, "Well, I ain't got no dad. I ain't have my dad. I didn't meet my dad till I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom lied to me about who my dad was. Like, so I grew up till I was about 13 thinking one guy was my dad, a different guy's on my birth certificate, and my birth dad I actually met before in front of my mom. Do you know what kind of psychological damage that was for me? I'm growing up confused and walking around. Everybody else know what's going on, and I don't.
And listen, we're not just, like I said, you all have seen us before on panels before. We're not discrediting the absence of the presence of having two parents in the household. That is a talking point. Morals, what we're talking about. But the point I'm saying is that yes, you're a byproduct of your environment, but also you're a byproduct of your choices. And so I'm thinking that in that instance is that when you brought that up, Jay, I understand where you're coming from, but again, I keep going to you pointing the finger at somebody for your lack of ill decision making or in terms of your circumstances.
Wait, now Jedi, I got to say this. Now, if I'm going to talk my personal self, by me not having a daddy didn't really affect me. I'm gracious that I didn't fuck up my life. I work in the healthcare field before I became owning all this business and stuff. So I'm not in that situation where I'm a felon or I'm just out here bad and I'm not provided. I live in my own crib. I take care of me and my kids. Ain't no woman provide me no transportation, no money, no house. I don't got to go to court fight. I already did the court and won my kids. So it's not that I'm one of those guys that saying, okay, I fucked up my life and I want to blame everybody else. No, I'm talking about the people that's out there. The black men that when I was homeless, years ago when I was homeless, can't get nowhere because of this and this and this. But that's all I'm saying. I'm not in no fucked up position.
The only reason that you feel compelled to even say these things, the only reason you feel compelled to say these things is because what you had to do was look at your situation and say, it's fucked up. No matter how bad I could blame it on anybody else, I got to do something about it. So the reason you're at where you're at now is because you took that approach. And I don't know you from a can of paint, but how do I know how you took that approach? Because it worked for you, and now you can stand on that when Jedi said what he said. So the point is, you got to keep going in that same direction. You have to still look at this world in a way like how men have to. Yeah, shit ain't sweet. So what?
The world does not owe you understanding.
Here I am, though. What am I? How am I going to take a step forward?
At all.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get no push from nobody. I got pushed down here. How am I going to pick myself up? That's all that is. It's not picking. No. Don't even call it pick yourself up out of bootstraps. I don't even like that terminology. Yeah, but it's just like if you got pushed down and someone's still about to punch you in the face, then you got to move. You've been jumped before. Someone said if 3 people are jumping you, you can't punch back. You got to get the fuck up out of there.
right? As black people that's be on these panels and stuff, this is the start. We never had these conversations amongst blacks as a collective like we've been doing. So this conversation, I just feel like a lot of black people just expressing their feelings and problems, including myself. But we need that. We can't discredit people of how they feel. We need everybody to express what's bothering them, and so we can have a good dialogue, and maybe we can change something. Like I'm listening to y'all now. Y'all making a lot of sense. So what I'm going to do is put that in my mind and, and act off that. But we needed this conversation. You can't just discredit some people because you don't like what they saying at the moment.
But I don't think it's that. We have to do it though with control and with poise.
This is therapy, if you like it or not.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that we like this. What Jedi was saying, like we have to do that stuff with control and with poise, because we don't want to come across on the internet like we crazy and we ain't got no control over what we say. You understand what I'm saying? Like everything that we do, we got to make sure that we think about what we do, like because everything you say your words have power, man. And you have to make sure that you don't say anything that's gonna make you look in a bad light, bro. Like everything that we do has every action has a reaction and it has a consequence.
And I want to say to Wes, I know he's like quiet right now. I know you have anything to add to this conversation right now. Wes?
To be honest, I was still laughing at the Wisconsin thing. But I'm keeping up. So Jay, it's obvious that you've done you've made a lot of right decisions in your life. You have seen bad decisions and then you took the good decisions and you've done good for yourself, done good for your family. You've been on a journey of really trying to do good for your community. And for that, I'll applaud you. Where a lot of other people have not had good intentions and have destroyed themselves and destroyed people around them. You've done good, but there still seems to be some sort of self-hatred going on. So somewhere where you're kind of not accepting yourself and you're really trying to fight despite what's going on. I'd like to recommend a book to you. I'm half asleep, so it's kind of difficult for me to make a lot of sensible thoughts, but read The Art of Loving by Erich Fromm.
The Art of Loving?
Art of Loving by Erich Fromm is one of the greatest books ever written. But I think a lot of people that are having
it's got to be one of the books you don't judge by its cover. That sounds horrible.
No. It'll be the most. It'll be one of the most amazing books.
What's that book about? The Art of Loving?
Art of Loving. No, it's written by a psychoanalyst.
Hey, so I just want to acknowledge the IQ.
I'll recommend the book too.
Wait, hold on. All right. After you, Brandon.
I'll just recommend the book and I'll back out too. I like Wes's idea. Yeah, let's start a book club, Wes. I'm gonna look that book up too, honestly.
Jay, mute your mic.
Jay, I was gonna recommend the richest man in Babylon, or just read the audio or listen to the audio book on YouTube, Richest Man in Babylon, so that you get it's basically a book of parables, like stories that tell you why and how it's important to get money in different circumstances that you go through out in life. So
hey guys, can I just really quickly? I want to welcome Island Girl into the group. Hi, Island Girl. Please.
Hi, Ameera. Hi. Hey, y'all.
Hey, Q. How you doing?
Hey. I just have one question for Jay. Because we know we was on Anton's panel this morning, and it was just a lot of for a lot of people, it was just a lot of complaining, a lot of lack of accountability and stuff like that. So I just have a question. What do you think for you, what have you done to contribute to this community in a negative way? And what are you going to do to improve that? Because I think the lack of accountability, you always want to blame Black women this, but you have a Black mother, a Black aunt, you have 3 Black daughters. And I'm asking this because I think that energy and how we speak about people is very important, because what's going to happen if you keep on talking in a negative way, that's going to rub off on your daughters. And one thing I don't want to happen, we don't need more masculine women or masculine children. So what's going to happen is if you keep on talking this negative, especially about Black women, because they are Black, it's going to rub off on them. They're going to hate the color of their skin. They're going to hate men. They're going to want to do stuff to feel satisfied by a man. So I'm just wanting to know, what are you going to do to change the future? Because you see this outlook on men and women, white men and Black women. So I'm curious, what type of accountability are you going to take now, and what are you going to do to improve it? That's
okay.
all.
And I got a good answer for you. And please don't take offense for my lack of words. I'm trying to rush my thoughts. I don't want to offend nobody. But I'm glad that God put me in a position where I do have my Black daughters, because the reason why I'm glad that I have my Black daughters, a lot of the Black women that I see that is very disturbing to me, that I do not want my daughters to grow up to be like, a lot of those women didn't have their daddies. So I think it is a blessing for me. I can show my daughter, no, you're not going to be up there reacting every time somebody say something, or you working at Walmart, you don't got good customer service skills, or you McDonald's, whatever, or you twerking all over the place, or been on. No, a lot of those women did not have their daddies. And can I please finish? And I'm glad that I'm able to show my daughters, no, that's not what men desire.
Anyone
This
not
is not
speaking,
what
please
men
mute your
desire.
mic.
That is
Please
not
mute your
what men
mic if you're not
desire.
speaking, guys.
Huh?
I was
Mute your
saying,
mic
please
if you're
mute
not
your mic
speaking.
if you're not speaking because of the background noise, okay?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we're just saying mute your mic, anybody who's not speaking.
Okay. So it's kind of good that I'm able to turn that around. Now my daughters hear me talk the way that I talk about Black women. I educated my oldest daughter, 8-year-old daughter. I said the reason why I talk the way I talk about these particular women is because if this is what men gonna say about you when you get older. If you portray these type of behaviors, this is if you see your own daddy is disgusted by these behaviors, you do not want to grow up and performing like that. You don't have to wear next to nothing to be attracted to a man. You don't have to be twerking all over the place, degrading yourself, and you don't have to. I understand Black women, they talk a lot of crap for a defense mechanism, but you don't have to do that. And when you say, Miss Q, when you say you so concerned about me talking like this in front of my woman, just like I told you earlier. I grew up in homes and where Black women, it was the other way around. Black women, all they did was talk about Black boys' daddies in front of them and how we ain't shit, and Black men use this. This is the reason why I feel like this my beliefs. This my beliefs, Q. I feel like the reason why Black men is so angry today and walking around killing each other because we was brought up of listening to the hatred that people have.
You're not on the same point anymore.
Hold on, can I please finish? Then y'all can kill me after this. We was brought up.
You veered off. You veered off.
We was brought up.
You veered off. I just
listening
want a quick
to
question, Jay.
The hatred that we have, that our the women in our family have for Black men.
Jay, I fully get that, sir. But guess what? You just said you grew up about women talking crap about Black women or Black men, but you are doing the same. And look how you turned out in your mindset. So you kind of just proved my point but you didn't take accountability. You kept on blaming, well, I grew up hearing this and this from my elders, and now you are doing the same, right? So guess what results you're going to get? Those girls are going to get the same results that you have. But anyways, but what I'm going to say right now, let's go back to my original question. What accountability do you have to take? Because if you're not going to answer that, I don't want to really hear anything else. That's all I have to ask.
You said what accountability that I have?
What accountability do you have to take that you have received, like your results that you receive, what accountability from your past are you going to take on and say, hey, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do this. You know what? I received, like, for instance, you just told us your parents or whoever was talking crap about Black men, but here you go repeating the same patterns. So I don't know if you know what happens when you repeat the same patterns, you get the same results, sir. So I'm saying, what accountability are you going to take instead of blaming the Black man, the Black woman, your mama, your siblings, the white man? What are you going to do to better your results? That's all I'm asking.
Okay, now I can answer you. Now, this just me talking on YouTube. Far as what I do in my life, hold on. As far as what I do in my life, far as like holding myself accountable, I could have been blaming everybody. I wouldn't have been this far in life. I'm very far in life. Now, by me being on YouTube, it's just me coming with my own opinions, just like everybody else has, coming up with my own opinions. But this what I'm saying on YouTube or whatever don't have nothing to do with how, like I mentioned earlier, that I'm creating business jobs for other Black men, that I'm taking care of my kids. That's accountability, taking care of my kids, taking care of myself, staying out of trouble. I'm not going in and out of jail. So all of that I'm really doing. I'm not going around, all this other stuff. So when you say that they're gonna turn out like me, like that's a bad thing. I'm not in no bad shape. And I feel like that was kind of a dig that you try to make it seem like I'm going through something because I go against the grain. And that's you're not complaining about that. I'm mad at Black men. You got mad because I was holding Black women accountable. So you felt like the need to say, okay, I got a problem. Every time a Black man speak about his abuse from Black women, we either got to be hurt, we got to be our Black mamas, we're not dating our mothers. We're not dating our sisters. When you listen to the men, how about listen to the men that they date? My sister's boyfriend sounds just like me. My mama men that she had sounds like me.
Damn shame.
I'm sure that's the pattern that she's talking about, though. That's why I said you got to pay attention to what she's actually asking, because what you addressed isn't what she asked. She asked about your impact on your daughters talking the way that you talk. So, and what she's saying is the example you just gave is that your sister's boyfriend is like you. So if you feel a certain type of way about Black women and you're talking that way right now for her to hear, and that for your, like, imagine how your sister's boyfriend talks to your sister. And you might feel like she deserves it.
Let me correct something right quick. Let me please correct something.
All right, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm about to give it to you. Understand that as men, I kind of get where you're coming from, but the way you're saying it, there's a reason why it's not hitting right. Understand you're talking to a woman when you're explaining this. Don't address it as if we're all on the panel. Just talk to Q about it, because Q asked you the question. It's a specific question she's asking you in relation to how you raised your daughters and that relationship and that pattern. Does that make sense?
Okay, please. Okay, let me clear this up. Correction. Okay. I don't bash Black women. Only thing, and when I say the other men do talk like me, we not bashing Black women. Only thing we doing is calling out, because we basically calling out stuff need to change. We always sit up here and say Black men need to change this, Black men need to change that. But it seems like it's a crime when we call out the stuff that Black women is doing and call out the stuff that they need to be correct on. Every time we say Black women need to correct this, Black women would say we bashing them. I feel like the reason why Black women, every time Black men call out Black women, even if we not bashing them, because Black women never been held or called out for nothing,
Jay,
for
sir.
anything.
Jay, I feel like my question is not going to get answered, but one, you were bashing Black women on Anton's panel
That's not bashing.
while even Anton said it, while your 2 girls was in the background and
Do
your
you remember Q's
10-month-year-old was
question?
crying. That's why I said you should get the crying baby. Like, you were bashing as the baby was crying in the background.
Okay, what is your definition of bashing? Because I have not put Black women down.
Jay, that's all I have to say for tonight. I'm going to cook me some dinner because I feel like my question will never be answered. Y'all have a good night.
You have a blessing. Take care of yourself.
And another thing.
Good night, Q.
I feel like when I was talking online with Q, I feel like one, she came in with the light skin privilege. 2, a woman's privilege.
Wait,
because it seemed like she just came in. No matter, she was being disrespectful. Nobody on the panel checked her.
I was not being disrespectful. I was actually
eventually you guys started being disrespectful on Anton's show, and nobody put you in your place.
Jay, honestly, this is what I said. Y'all. I said
you called me ignorant.
Yes, I was just about to say that. I take.
If I would have name called you, everybody would have on my ass.
Fact, not
hold
fiction.
on 1 second, sir.
That's not always a name call. It was a matter of fact.
I called him ignorant.
It's a matter of fact.
Anton was like, "Let Q speak," and I said, "Anton, I can't speak to an ignorant person. I'm gonna go." But you know what I said afterwards? I used to be ignorant like you, so ignorant can spot ignorance.
No, you're not gonna label. You're not gonna label me that. Who are you to label me ignorant?
Honestly,
who the hell are you?
Honestly, I was more worried about your baby girls, honestly, because I feel like you're still stuck in your way. And I know I'm not going to argue back and forth with someone if they're stuck in their way. I was just saying that, you know what? You should talk more positive around your girls, because I used to work in a child abuse and neglected center, and I know how things can affect a woman and children in a bad way. That's all I was saying, okay? I know you're stuck in your mindset, but I was just talking about words are powerful, okay, in many ways when it comes to children, because children are conditioned in a young age.
But you also was making fun of me.
Jay, even though you're wanting to give them good advice, there's a way to tell them something. But I'm telling you, the way you come across and the way you speak to kids is different than how you speak to adults. And that's all I'm going to say. You have
but because you was making fun of me, you was like, he hurt. He hurt.
So,
usually when Black women say somebody hurt, because they don't like when you calling them out.
Can I play? Can I play mediator for a little bit? Because I got back on here a while ago. So
I just want to give it up to Marcus right here. Like, go.
First of all, good evening, guys. Good evening, guys, and happy holidays. Thank you, Ameera, for letting me back on. I understand both sides. So I'm gonna be a mediator and just say I understand the dynamic of the conversation on the left side and the right side for verbatim. So I understand, Jay, where you're coming from, and I understand where Eileen Gal, if I'm saying her name right, Eileen Gal was coming from, and the panel was saying. So there's a saying, right? While you point one finger, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. So with that being said, we have accountability on a universal scale. So it can be flipped 180 back to you. And depending on how you word it, how you phrase it, how you come about it, the energy, the level you come at it with your tone. Remember, young kids' minds are warped from a young age to the teenage years. They soap it up, whatever they watch on TV, how their parents interact with each other, the disrespect. It could be verbal abuse. It could be physical abuse. You understand there's levels to it. So I understand where you're coming from, that maybe certain women in a certain demographic, depending on their culture, how they're raised, etc., these can be used as excuses. Can they be also factual in your life? Absolutely. But there's objective and there's subjective. I'm going to repeat that again. There's objective and there's subjective truth. Your reality perception of the truth, it depends on how you take it, how you're going to receive it, how it actually did happen to you. You know, and I heard about it earlier. You said you grew up in homes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you say foster homes? Like, is that what you're talking about? Because I heard you say something about that. Is that what you said? You said you grew up in homes. When I hear about that, because I work in certain job fields.
I was saying black. I grew up around Black women, so I studied them for 36 years.
Okay, well, I got you on this. I'm gonna hit you back. I grew up. I'm Latino, so obviously, growing up in a Latino household, there's this stereotype of women being explosive and being spicy, and stuff like that. I understand where you're coming from, because I had aunts where they were the masculine one. They talked down on their significant other male, sometimes physically or just verbally abused them, or like like embarrass them. However, at the same time, a man has to have self-respect for himself and dignity to walk out of that situation. If a man knows his worth, you should walk out of that situation. And I'm not just saying to villainize every woman. For me to say that just because my aunts were not the feminine woman, that doesn't mean I'm going to villainize or try to say, hey, all these Latino women are like that. No, it's up to you to go out there and find out what you want. Sometimes step out of the country. Because I do understand where you're coming from when it comes to this new agenda of the side of women who have to be more masculine, that you can do no wrong, you can do as much as better a man, if not better than them, etc. So I get that point. But at the same time, you are a product of, you can be a product of your environment if you choose to stay in that environment. So you have that power. Free will is something that we all have as human beings. Free will is something we have all. So I get annoyed because I deal in Mexico, what I do here and there, working for the U.S. Embassy at times and being a U.S. government contractor, et cetera, because of my background, I deal with certain things that are so disturbing, that things that I wish that none of you humans ever get to see. But I see some of these things and I hear this excuse of, you're a product of your environment. That's like me saying, I'm a drug dealer because I grew up around a whole bunch of drug dealers. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. Just because I hung around and watched like this lifestyle of this doesn't mean I have to be a rapper. No, hell no. I get to choose what I want to be. That means you want to be a piece of shit. I'm sorry to say the language. You get to be a POS. That's just how it is. But you got to take accountability. Life is going to be worth hits. You're going to take a couple licks. That's how it is. Now, I understand people should take accountability. Will they? That's not up to you. That's up to the individual person themselves. You can't hold that as much as you want. What you can do is walk away from them and you control your social circle, your inner circle. That's what you can control.
Come on. Listen,
and really quick, I know what it's like down in Milwaukee. I don't been to Milwaukee. So my thing is if you feel like that if that's not an environment that you really feel like you can thrive in, then sometimes you have to leave there, man. I know it's parts of Milwaukee that's really rough. I went down there, man. Some of those areas are really, 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 really bad, man. And it's no excuse, but some people you can't talk to, man. That's why it starts with us. We can control what we do. And if we can influence somebody that's different, it's up to them to listen to what we have to say. But we can't sit here and just be having a bullhorn yelling and saying and standing on a hill like that.
Right. And I want to end off with this because I'm a dip, because I also believe in there. But we know we're adults here, right? And I'm not going to here change your perspective, whatever. We're having a discussion. And if there's a pathway to education, and learning, the errors of our ways, and then so be it. But I just want to say to you, Jay, from black man to black man, you have to understand that while we've been seeing this, I want you to watch when this stream is over and watch how the way you conducted yourself. And not only in this stream, but also Anton's stream, right? I want you to watch how you conducted yourself, because 7% of communication is verbal. What the demeanor that you having up here is happening at your household. And I understand you saying one here is on YouTube and and when it's off YouTube's are different. But I know the way you're carrying yourself, I am more concerned about your children. I'm not saying you're an ill will father. I don't know. I'm not in your household. I'm just saying the way you've been conducting yourself in this conversation right now, I just encourage you as a man to look at errors of your ways. And even though, like as what Marcus was talking about, being a byproduct of your environment, saying that you studied, women around you, all that stuff like that. But I encourage you, even though you say you might have studied maybe a negative experience, why haven't you studied a positive experience? And if not, you control your reality. Like I said, you control your reality as men. I'm saying, going back to this choice, you choose to put yourself in the circumstances, and you also choose to hold the bitterness you have for what the byproduct of what the women in your family did when you were a child. You have the choice to remain, to hold that bitterness and free yourself. Right. And that's why I'm encouraging you, man, is that if you look back and watch what you've done in the last, 2.5 hours, hopefully you can listen to it and kind of shelve your agenda and actually stand back and look at this from a accountable perspective. But that's it. I'm out. But Amir, you did a good show today. To y'all, Wes, and everyone, it's a pleasure meeting y'all. But I'm gonna dip out.
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And this has been crazy. I enjoyed the conversation, but like I said, I had to sit back and just listen to you guys because, men speaking, women quiet. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope you guys got something out of this conversation. And I guess we're gonna go ahead and end it unless anybody has anything to say before we go.
I want to say this last thing when he say how the way I conducted myself and stuff like that. I feel like I conducted myself very well. And when he's saying he feel like it's concerning, I don't understand why he feel like it's concerning. Like I say,
Jay,
I feel like
the problem is he's not here anymore to respond. He's not here anymore to respond. So we just have to take it up a different day.
Well, for the rest of the panel and to the audience, I feel like YouTube is my
could tell
outlet.
you why.
No.
One example.
We're trying to calm down, guys. It's time
we
to
need to park this train.
You just now did not. Okay.
Yeah, it's time to close it down, guys. I'm sorry. I gotta get going, and we gotta close.
Anyways, thank you, Ameera, for letting me back on. I know I had dinner earlier with my significant other, so I just wanted to come back on and just address some issues and the whole. I want to just simply just finish it with a sentence. Just because you want to say the saying of a byproduct of your environment is just another higher excuse to try to pedestalize yourself in some form or fashion of a victim. So enough of that rhetoric. And that's the only way that minorities, immigrants built this nation. So that's the only way that we can stop doing that. We have to come together as minorities and immigrants to come together. And that's what we built. And if white people want to jump on the train, hallelujah, bless you too. And I respect anybody's opposing views and opinions. And just understand that we only build together more. We need each other.
Gracias, Marcos. Gracias por ver. Hablamos después. Adiós. Okay. Bye, guys. Good night. Good night. Bye, Wesley. Bye, Ego-san.